I'm Jamie, and welcome to Sci-Fi Vision Severed Minds for Saturday. I can never remember what day it is without looking at the calendar. Saturday, March 1st. Hi, Karen.
Hi, how are you? I'm
Doing
good. I'm much better.
Good.
I think I look, sound, and feel better than I have for a couple weeks.
Good. I'm glad. I got to turn my volume up, though. There we go. I'm trying to rearrange my windows here because I forgot to, for some reason, actually open up the Word file that I have. But there we go. But everyone who is here, thank you for coming. We appreciate it. Please, if you haven't, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. And you can, of course, on our YouTube, check out all of our different videos and previous live streams. And as well as we had our, was that yesterday? I'm like thinking, what day of the week that was that? The other day, we talked to Mark Geller, who plays Kier. And that video is up for people to watch. And of course, we also still have Sydney Nicole that's up. Sydney Cole, not Sydney Nicole. Sydney Cole Alexander, which is also up, and she played Natalie. So thank you, everybody who's with us so far. Yes, we already have some chatter.
Yep. Hi, Justin. Hi, Scarlett.
Hey, guys. Thanks, Justin. No, I was going to say Michael's there. Michael's been telling me more about his foray into working on the Severance set. So, yeah, that's been a fun conversation. He's been on it more often. So this episode is called, I lost the name of it. I don't have it in front of me. I have it here in my notes somewhere.
Do you pronounce it Chikhai Bardo?
Yeah, Chikhai Bardo, I guess is how you pronounce it. And we'll talk more about that title when we, I guess, get to that part of it. We might as well wait till we get to that part. But, whoa. You know, I don't know why when I'm just talking, all of a sudden the monitors do that. Like I'm talking to you and now I have a black screen. I can't see anything. Can you still, okay, you can still hear me at least. Good.
Actually, you just went black.
I just went black. That's nice.
Yeah, we can't see you. We can't see you, but we can hear you.
Okay, give me a second here. I'm trying to get it back.
All right. Go ahead and do what you need to do. Great episode. Michael says it's his favorite episode of Severance so far. I might have to agree. This is like when you say, like, I would say game changing. Like this, to me, I feel like after watching this, I'm like watching almost a different show. The stakes have really changed. It's a lot darker than I even expected it was. Actually, at first I thought it was kind of boring. I kind of felt like, I don't really need to see the entire love story between Gemma and Mark to believe that they were in love and that he misses her. And I was like, why are we having to see all of this flashback? To me, I just wasn't that interested. I can like accept that they were in love. And then, partway through the episode, when things start to really change, and I mean, I understand more. I understand why it was important to show that to us, and it just, what I thought was a boring like mid-season episode became maybe the best episode yet.
Yeah, I agree. A lot has gone on, and I'm sorry. I think I'm gonna have to restart. Oh wait, now it pops up, but I might have to restart my computer. It's doing all kinds of weird things because it's like telling me to verify myself on YouTube. I'm like, I've been on YouTube all day. Why is it telling me this now?
That's okay. Go ahead and do that, and we'll
Yeah, why don't you? While I'm doing that, you go to some of the comments really quick, and I'll be back in a second.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have a ton of comments yet, but it definitely, Michael agrees it feels like a shift, and I just, and so we start out with like sort of the meet cute between Mark and Gemma. We learn that they met at a blood drive, and they were both reading papers. She an academic paper, he a high school term paper. And we have that shift where we see the blood coming out of Miss Casey's having blood drawn. No, it turns out it's Gemma. That was like huge to me. Yeah, I'm in front of a fake living room. This isn't my real house. So to me, it was kind of it's weird hosting a show by yourself and not having Jamie to talk to. for me, it was kind of news that on the testing floor, you're an outie. Like it's Gemma on the testing floor, not Miss Casey, right? When Miss Casey got sent to the testing floor, all this time I've been worried about what they were doing to Miss Casey, and they're actually like torturing Gemma with her knowledge. That was sort of huge to me. I don't know if anybody else out there thought that it was Miss Casey down on the testing floor this time. But that to me was one of the first big revelations. And yeah, Michael was shocked by that also. Jimmy, we're just talking about, I was talking about early on in the show when they switch from, we see the meet cute between Mark and Gemma, and then they switch to Gemma having blood drawn in the lab. By my favorite evil nurse, Sandra Bernhard.
Yeah, she, and I'm listening, by the way. I'm just opening all my windows and trying to get everything back where it was, trying to here. I know her from Roseanne. That's her.
She played a nurse in Pose, not an evil nurse, a really nice, compassionate nurse in Pose. Which is a fantastic show if anybody hasn't watched it. But Michael's comment up there, he was shocked. We were referring to the revelation that it's not Miss Casey on the testing floor, it's Gemma on the testing floor.
Yeah, that was definitely a shock, wasn't it?
Yeah, all along we've been assuming that it was Miss Casey, or not all of us, but I and Michael.
I think most of us, even I thought that too, and I thought that from the beginning. So.
Yeah, Sandra Bernhard is perfect for Severance.
Did you? Whoops, sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say why I'm opening my windows back up. Did you? I saw Scarlett had asked about why they had blocked the doctor. What's his name? Dr. Moyer.
Oh, when they blocked his face, the dentist last week when he was.
Yeah, what was up with that? I don't understand that either. I didn't understand that then. I don't understand that now. Like, and everybody, when everybody was sorry, when everybody was watching it, they were all saying, it was this person, it was that person, and I knew it wasn't who they thought, but I don't know why they covered his face. That was very strange.
Since he's not someone we had seen before anyway, like what was the purpose in hiding his face? Just to mess with us? Yeah, I don't know. Just because it was a really cool shot.
It was a really cool shot, but maybe it was just trolling us. I don't know.
But our fears about all those dental tools came true, right? We talked about why do they know those dental tools? Are they like going to be like the Marathon Man? And it's exactly like the Marathon Man.
It is. But I can't say that I don't understand why somebody would want to make it innie to go to their dentist appointments. I can't say I don't understand that.
But that's not what I don't think that's.
No, I know. I'm just saying as an aside that I can see why people would want to use it for that. But yeah, for her, I mean, she went to the dentist every day. That's really got to suck, right?
Not every day, every hour of her life, right?
Sure. Yeah, not even just every day. You're right. Every hour.
If it's a separate persona, which we're going to talk about. Michael, I thought maybe he was Ben Stiller also at first. I was like, is that guy Ben Stiller? But he's not, right?
I could be wrong, but I think Ben is in the credits for this season, maybe for something. I can't remember, and that's why people were thinking that. I believe so. I mean, not that Internet Movie Database is always correct. I remember I remember reading something about that.
Yeah.
So the first thing I want to talk about, though, before I forget, because I have it marked here, is we know that a lot of this is flashback. It's kind of hard to tell whether some of it is her flashback or his flashback or a combination. I'm not sure that part necessarily matters. But I thought when I first watched this, it seemed like that it took place a while ago, especially with the color of the film. Like Mark's got a typewriter. You got that weird feeling of it not being in this time. At least I did. But yet you can tell that it has to be because like Devin has that, huge cell phone and that kind of thing, even in these flashbacks. So it can't be more than a few years ago, decade ago, whatever. It can't be a super long time ago. Like I had thought when I started watching it, because it almost has like I don't want to say a sepia, but the film color was different. I forget, somebody in the chat was saying it was filmed on like film instead of digital. Maybe that's why it has that look. I don't know. But it definitely looked different.
It had a film kind of look. It also, we're getting showered with compliments in the chat. Thank you so much. it had a filmic quality to it. It also, to me, had like a filter, like maybe it was shot with some kind of a softening filter. Had like a little bit of almost a dreamlike quality, which I thought was a signal that it's a memory and it's a flashback. I agree with you. It wasn't always clear to me if it was Gemma or Mark remembering, or if it mattered, because it seemed fairly consistent. Like,
yeah, I think that we're supposed to assume that's what happened. That that it wasn't embellished or anything. What I found, I think, to me, the most interesting was that their marriage was not super happy. I mean, they were going through a really rough patch, and look, I'm not saying they said it was or anything, but you're kind of led to believe Mark's in such grief that I don't know. I thought like they had this really happy marriage, and then you find out they were going through a really rough patch. They were often yelling at each other. Not that doesn't always happen. I mean,
I don't know that I ever saw them yell at each other in any of those scenes. Did we?
Well, not yell. I shouldn't say yell. Like, he was telling her that she was wasting her time, and she's like, "Don't tell me how I feel." And they were arguing. Everybody argues, though. That doesn't mean that they're not a happy couple, but they were going through, like I said, a rough patch. She lost the baby. They were definitely not in a happy place. Not necessarily the relationship was bad, but just they weren't in a super happy place. And I don't know, it just sort of surprised me, I guess.
I mean, I felt like they had a happy marriage, but they were under tremendous strain in their struggle with infertility, right? And I don't know what that's like.
No, I
don't.
Neither
of us you and I both have not been married. And I don't know about you, but I have not struggled to try to get pregnant.
No, I have not taken fertility drugs. I have no idea.
And they were under tremendous strain, and you could see the cracks. I mean, I believe they still loved each other. I don't think they were like on the brink of divorce or anything. Yeah. I kind of can see maybe, like, I also felt that Mark kind of, I mean, he never says it, but I got the impression that they had this perfect, blissful marriage. And
yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. Like, I felt like expected that.
And I can see why maybe he's got some, like he didn't say I love, like, he'd be reminded to say I love you on that last night, on the last, and he didn't go with her on the last night. She invited him to spend time, and he was like, no, I'm too busy. And like, I guess he maybe is carrying like tremendous regret about that, probably, right? If you're
probably guilt, right? I would agree with that. I mean, that's why I said everybody goes through rough patches, and I mean, to be fair, because he is grieving her, you would kind of remember, I guess, a lot of times the better side of things, like, and not necessarily remember when he was upset with her necessarily, because he's trying to remember the happy times. I don't know. It just surprised me, I guess. But yeah, he was a little too busy for her at that moment. Not that he was doing it all the time. We don't know. Just at that moment, he was in the middle of something. But, it's funny because it parallels that scene where, what is his name? Is it Maurer? I think it's Maurer, isn't it? Dr. Maurer, Dennis. What's his name?
The dentist.
Anyway, I have it. I'm trying to find it's in my notes somewhere. But anyway, the doctor, where he tells her and he says, I love you, and she doesn't answer, and he forces her to answer. And it's clear she's kind of answering almost in sarcasm and is mad when she says it and doesn't mean it. And he forced her to say it. But it's weird because to me, it definitely parallels that scene. So I'm not sure what exactly this show was saying by putting that in at the end, if it's meant to parallel Mark and Gemma, because obviously they did love each other.
They did. And she wants to go back she wants to see him, right? I mean, she says, I want to go home. I want to see Mark. She wants to get back to him. I'm looking forward to getting to that part of our discussion where we talk about what's going on down there and what's happening to her.
Yeah, I also want to talk about the timeline when we get a little bit further along, because I have so many questions about the timeline, but we probably ought to go at least a little bit in order.
Oh, I did want to say, though, Jamie, about like Mark's typewriter and the cell phone. I think we should not. I personally try to not use the technology to date this show, because they're purposely using outdated technology to throw us off, and there's like, it's just like a different
right.
The technology advance at a different rate in this world that we're watching. That's why I think that.
Right. No, you're right. I mention it because when I first started watching it, just going by their clothes and the color of the film, I don't know why I thought like, okay, this is maybe the 70s, maybe the 80s. That's what I thought at first. I'm not good at dating things, I'll be honest, but it didn't seem like it was as far forward as I think it is.
I mean, I think
it felt further back of a memory, but I don't think it was supposed to be. I think it was supposed to be more recent.
To me, personally, I felt maybe they like Mark's been severed, I think, for 2.5 years, right? He's been working on the severed floor, I think, 2.5 years. Somebody in the chat will probably correct me. Because they didn't go to great lengths to de-age the actors digitally, like they looked a little younger, but not a lot younger. So
I probably just make them younger.
I mean, they mostly just used hairstyles to make Devin and facial hair to make Devin and Mark look different. Rickon and Gemma look pretty much the same. So that's why I put it maybe 10 years ago, not 20 or 25 years ago or anything like that.
No. Yeah.
I mean, there are timeline, like just me saying like the airline was 70s seeming, but those are severed rooms, right? The Christmas room is like 50s looking.
Yeah. No, I think the color of the as dumb as that says, I think the color of the film was what made me think that the most, just the way they toned it.
James says it was shot in 60mm film. I mean, I think that was just a signal so you could tell the memories.
You're probably right. I just, for whatever reason, it stuck out to me and didn't make tons of sense. All right.
That was just my feeling. I could be totally wrong, but that was just
I just was, bringing it up because I did notice it. Now, let me get my pictures here up because I should have had them up and I forgot to put them up. Sorry about that, guys. Let's see, share screen. We want image. There we go. It was
weird seeing spring in Severance, not seeing snow.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me because at one point you can see snow. Did you notice, and I don't know if I got every time it happened, but there were certain times where they had flashes that were maybe like 1 frame long in between things. And I don't know if it was just to kind of like create a sense of chaos or if there was a point to it. I know like the one time she was, I think, remembering the hallway and it showed it sort of spinning, but you could see like images in between of the snow outside. And I think it might've been supposed to be the car crash, but I wasn't entirely sure. I meant to get images of that one. And for whatever reason, I don't think I did. But this other time it's showing the hallway and I actually freeze framed it. And when we get to it, it's towards the end of the episode. It's one of the images of her like sort of hunkered down, I think on the stairs, but it's just like 1 frame and it's inserted in the middle of the video. And I don't know. I don't think it was a mistake because Severance does stuff like that. And it was more than once, but it was really odd.
Yeah, I couldn't slow it down. Just me couldn't figure out how to slow it down. I couldn't. I watch Severance on the app on my television. I don't watch it on the computer. And I find the Apple app is a little difficult to control with fast forward and rewind. And I can never watch the after the credits, like behind the scenes sequence, because Apple TV wants to immediately start make me watch Surface. And I tried like 5 times to watch it. And then I was like, get it, Apple, you suck.
I noticed the flash, and so when I was getting the screen captures, I did get the one with her like sort of down, like I don't want to say cowered down, but kind of like shrunken down. The thing with the snow, I think I must have seen it when we were doing the watch party because I know I didn't get a screen capture, so I'm thinking I probably saw it when I was rewatching it, and that was why I didn't have the screen capture because I took the pictures before we did the watch party. All right, so we start off, we get to see them at college. And I just took that again because it's sort of reflective in an odd way, but not exactly. I don't know. It might be a real campus or something, but I like the way they shot it, the design of it. It's interesting looking. But we get to see their meet cute, basically. When they first met each other, they're giving blood, a blood donation. And let's see. They are, I guess, in the library at the college, it looks like, when they're getting their blood drawn. And they're talking about what papers they're I think it's what papers are grading supposed to be. But he has themes of religious conversion. She has themes of religious conversion in Tolstoy's The Death of Ivan Illich, I think is how you pronounce it. And he has a paper, All Quiet on the Western Front, Drug Use by Enlisted Soldiers in World War I. But I, somewhere here, I think you were telling me what that book was about. You had something about it. I had looked it up, and I'm trying to remember now if I wrote it here somewhere. It was about from what I remember looking up about it, that about a man who was dying and kind of got angry because he was dying and because his family didn't like accept he was dying. I don't know. Do you know more what it's about? I have the page open, but it's on my iPad. You are muted.
By the way, Michael says it was shot at a campus on Long Island.
Oh, cool.
At a college campus.
He knows where all this stuff's shot. We just got to ask him, right?
Yeah. I have not read The Death of Ivan Ilyich. I read about it on the internet today. It's about a guy, a judge, I think, who dies a very long and painful, agonizing death from a terminal illness.
Yeah.
And he's very angry because he believes he's lived a good life and he doesn't deserve.
Therefore, he doesn't deserve to die like that.
But he goes through like he gets all mad at his family. The reason he's mad at his family is because they're trying to act normal, like he's not dying. And he's resentful. And then he meets someone that he helps him see that it has themes of like living an authentic life versus an inauthentic life. And if he was inauthentic, was he really living? And in dying, is he finally like being able to live? Is kind of what it's
about. Much better than what me trying to describe it.
So I don't know if it means anything. Gemma is a professor of Russian literature, so of course she's teaching Tolstoy, right? And it's like one of Tolstoy's most famous books. But it's interesting that it's about like living an authentic life, or living like, are you really living? I mean, obviously, there's a parallel to like living a severed life, right? Maybe. I mean, she's not. I mean, they could have picked War and Peace for her to be writing a paper about. Yeah. They chose her to be reading about this book.
Yeah. It's just I wasn't sure exactly how it. I mean, I see what you're saying, but it doesn't connect maybe as it isn't as on the nose as maybe they could have picked a book. Not that it needs to be. I'm just saying, like, I expected it to be a little bit something. Well, I don't know.
I mean, maybe in Russian literature from the 18th century, they couldn't find anything that was a better parallel, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
But they kind of flirt a little bit. Now this, I
gotta say, Adam Scott looks good with that little bit of stubble there. To me, I personally like I'm not attracted to Adam Scott, but I was like, oh, he looks good like that.
Yeah, he does. So I took a picture of that. I have known since the beginning of this, or well, not since the beginning of the season, since you guys had seen the beginning of the season, had seen this, and that basically I'm assuming is confirmation that is what the symbol for Lumen is, a blood drop.
Oh, I don't know.
That's how I take it. I mean, that's the symbol, and it's on all their equipment, but I took it to mean that it represents blood, because they show later when Sandra Bernhardt she puts her hand on the door panel and like she gets pricked and stuff. So I assume that it's meant to be blood. That's how I mean, I guess it doesn't outright say it, but that's how I took it.
I think that's very on the nose, a little more on the nose, like this shot.
Yeah.
Shot. If that's what this shot represents, I'm a little disappointed actually in the director for being so on the nose. But I've never really thought about that symbol at all. But you say blood, I mean, that's interesting. And they're sort of like the Egan family and their generational passing
bloodline.
Bloodline, right?
And also blood is also like life force too. I look at it as not necessarily literally blood, but life force or bloodline or that kind of thing. Yeah. I mean, I think that I don't know that it has to be literally blood, but I think that's what the symbol is meant to be, I guess is what I'm saying. What the logo is meant to be is blood. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it all. Now that the more I'm thinking about it, I guess it wouldn't necessarily have to be. But that's definitely how I took it after seeing that symbol there in that scene.
Yeah.
Oh, it's blood. So, okay.
So we
That
can,
makes sense.
all right, time will tell. I think it's a little too obvious, but so this is a point where we diverge and time will tell.
Well, the way that I look at it is if it's a drop, it's got to either represent water or blood because I don't know what else it would represent.
It could be it could be a candle flame. It could be a teardrop. It could be.
I guess that's true. I didn't think of those things.
Yeah.
All right. So then we've switched to Gemma, who is on what we're assuming is the testing floor. And I noticed that they use a lot of like this mint color green in these scenes. And I'm assuming that that's just kind of because we usually have the blue and the red. So it's something different, I guess, because she's an outie, but she's not like a free outie. I don't know. So I just think they wanted something different to kind of represent this version of whatever it is that's going on in this episode. So let's see. We see Mark because let's see. He is still knocked out, and Ragabi's checking him, and Devin is upset with what's going on and is asking if he's okay and everything, and she really won't answer her. But she tells her that Mark's reintegrating, and Devin is not happy about this, and she starts basically threatening her, and she's like, well, that's what he wants, and this is what's happening, whether you like it or not. And they kind of argue a bit. And then Devin tells her basically, well, what if I call, I think it's in this scene, isn't it? Well, first she threatens her. She says that, he just wants to know if his wife's alive. And she tells him tells her that Gemma is alive. I thought this is where she says she's going to tell.
I think that happens much later. I think that happens later, but
yeah, but she's upset that he's reintegrating is the point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Ragabi's like, well, this is what he wants. He wanted to know about his wife. Yes, she's alive, and I'm helping him. Is basically that.
Yeah, I actually have this scene on my TV right now. I don't. Anyway, yeah, I have it on my TV right now. But go ahead.
Okay. So she's doing more medical tests. Now, I don't know if this is like a physical, I guess, is probably what I would consider. It seems like they're doing some kind of physical. Of course, we have the little in-joke, whatever you want to call it, reference of the goat on the eye chart, which is cute.
Oh, yeah, the goat chart.
I don't think there's really any meaning other than it's a goat, but it's one of two goats in the episode, actually. But
I think that's like the first comment we got in the chat today.
Goat chart, yep. From Scarlett, yes. Lots of goats. That's why I said this. There's two goats. Technically, there's lots of goats, but there's two times we see goats. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, these machines look old and kind of like they could be. But again, we're not focusing too much on the tech. But I almost wondered, did this to you seem like it was maybe a lie detector test? I wasn't 100% sure some of what she was testing.
I mean, I don't know. She's holding these two things in her hand. I don't know what that's all about. I don't know if it.
Let's see. She takes her temperature. She takes her blood pressure, her weight, the eye chart. She says.
She questions her. Did you do your calisthenics? Have you done your reading?
Yeah, have you read? And then if you were caught in a mudslide, would you be more afraid of suffocating or drowning? It almost kind of reminds me a little bit of Miss Casey's facts. Just a little bit. I know it's not, but it kind of gives me that the way she's speaking, that feeling. Mm-hmm. She asks her how many rooms she has visited today, and she says 6. Now, that is the one thing I wanted to talk about before we go much further. We know that she says later about going to the different rooms, and she hasn't gone to Cold Harbor yet. But
you know what? Okay. Go ahead, but you skip past the part where she opens the closet and the clothes are in there.
I don't think I'm to that point yet.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Then continue. So it's in
this. No, yeah. I just wanted to mention where she says about she's been in 6 rooms. And she later says to that doctor that she hasn't been in Cold Harbor yet. So she's been in 6 out of 7 rooms. Now, this is what I was discussing with you earlier. I am assuming from all of this that these are all different innies and that she has been severed at least 6 times. Do you agree with that? Or you seemed like maybe you weren't as sure, but I think you were still kind of thinking it over when I was last talking to you.
I spoke to you immediately after I finished watching it, right?
Yeah, so you hadn't had time to think about it.
Can we put a pause? Scarlett, are you serious? Was that really a Scientology e-meter, or are you joking? Never having, I don't know what a Scientology, I know they do that, right? But I don't know what it looks like.
No, I don't either. But I know people did have reference that some of this seems like Scientology, some of this.
So I spoke to Jamie immediately upon finishing it. I assumed it was the same severed personality doing all of it, but the giveaway is, when you said it to me, isn't she severed like 6 times? I was like, no. And then I thought, oh, when she's in the Christmas room, he says like, oh, Christmas comes around once a year. And Gemma, Miss Casey, says, it's always Christmas. And that was
the same thing at the dentist office too. She says, I was just here. And he's like, it's been 6 weeks. Yeah. Which also makes me wonder though, do her innies not realize that they're innies? Because I wasn't 100% sure, because she seemed a little confused when she said to him, I was just here. And he's like, it's been 6 weeks. I assumed that they would also know their innies, just like the innies in the office, but maybe not. It wasn't super clear. But no, I don't think she's Miss Casey. I think actually, now that I said that, I said to you, I think she's maybe been severed 7 times, because I assume that Cold Harbor is 1 too. But you know what? That would make 8, because I didn't think Miss Casey is also an innie. So
I don't know that.
I mean, maybe it's more than that. I'm just guessing by what they said in this episode.
I don't think. So I would. Okay, so I would say there's Gemma, and there's 6 severed personalities.
Plus
Miss Casey. I don't think Cold Harbor is 1 yet. I think they will sever her again when it's time for Cold Harbor. You know what? This is like Horcruxes. Like every time you murder someone, you get a new Horcrux, right? Yeah. And she has like 7 Horcruxes right now. And I think maybe they will create 1 more when it's time for Cold Harbor. That's a possibility, but she's been severed at least, I would say, at least 7 times. So, like Mickey said, 7 or 8. I guess we're not sure. At least 7. Now, Scarlett makes a point of 7 rooms, but 4 tempers. You know, that's the thing. That's why I thought at first 6 made more sense, because of the whole thing with like Cold Harbor and those 6 boxes. But there is at least 7. So I'm not sure if the 6 is relevant, 7 is relevant, at all. But I do wonder, from what the doctor says later, if so many of them represent different tempers. I mean, who knows? Maybe there are 8 and it's like there 2 of them are, maybe there's 2 of each temper. I don't know, because he does make a point about that. Let's see. There are 25 rooms, James says. She doesn't go
that somewhere.
Well, she goes down this hallway. I'm looking at her right now, and there are many more rooms.
Yes, I took screen captures of everyone you can read. Believe me.
Yeah, and there are more rooms than she has been in.
Yes. So the question is she maybe severed that many times, going to be severed that many times, or are those for other people?
I think they're for other people.
They could be. Mickey makes a point though when she asks how many rooms. She does look kind of down, like there might be more coming. So I guess we'll find out.
I mean, maybe that's interesting, because I had kind of assumed she's down because she's in pain, like she's being tortured. These rooms are essentially torture chambers, and she comes out of them in pain, and she supposedly doesn't remember. Although let's talk later, because I think maybe she kind of remembers. I think maybe she's remembering some of what
remembers the pain at any rate.
I think maybe there's more, but we can talk about that later. But she's in pain and exhausted, and she may have residual feelings coming out of there or not, but I thought that's why. So that's an interesting from Mickey. It hadn't occurred to me that she knows she's going to be split again for Cold Harbor.
It's definitely possible.
Maybe she doesn't know how many she's been split into. Maybe for all she knows, it could be one. They could put one. Like, it's
She
interesting
doesn't
that
remember it, so it could be any number of things to her. She
it
doesn't.
could be one. It raises an interesting question. Why bother? Why not make the one severed personality do it all? Why so many different personalities?
Maybe, but I kind of wonder if part of this, and maybe I'm wrong, but considering that doctor is in how many of the different her different innies of
Yeah.
what's going on, I think that they're trying, like, part of this is experiment, and they're trying to see if she recognizes him, maybe, and like, can she
Really?
tell that they're connected? That I don't know. That's what I wonder. Just because of the fact that he's now, granted, he seems to have some kind of weird obsession with her, so maybe he just wants to be in them. I don't know. But they also say how many rooms today, and she says 6. So there's a possibility that this is only 6 in this day and that there's a ton more. We really don't know, but I would say it's at least 7.
Well, she was in the
count this.
dentist's office for 2 hours. How many can you do in one day if she's going to be 2 hours in each room? If she was 1 hour in each room, that's 6 hours. She's 2 in the dentist. That's at least 7 hours that she's in these rooms during one day. And she has to change clothes in between. I think maybe there's just not time to be in more than.
Well, no, or maybe some are longer than others. I mean, who knows? Maybe she really had a cavity for all we know. But
Well,
yes, I do think for to torture her, though. So I think that that's the point of making it painful, not necessarily that she did. I'm just laughing about it. Why was she in there for so long? I don't know. That was kind of my thought. Like,
I have a theory. I think they're trying to see how much pain they can inflict on her that she will not remember. Like, I think they're testing what might break through the severed barrier in your mind. And I think they're torturing her in different ways to see, like, what, like, if it ever will break or if it will always hold. And I don't know what their purpose is. But I think it was 2 hours of, like, dental work without Novocaine. I think it was, right?
I think you're probably right. I thought that too, because I think the point is to put her in pain. But Michael also makes an interesting.
Sorry.
That's okay. Also makes an interesting point that she wouldn't necessarily know when day and night is, so the work day could be even longer. Because you think about the fact too that, like, she's only awake during part of it, so it could be longer than 24
She's awake.
hours.
Her body is awake and being fatigued. Her body is not, like, your body needs to sleep and rest.
Right. But I'm saying, like, we don't know that she's only working an 8-hour day. She could be working a 16-hour day. We don't know.
I don't think so, because they seem to be very concerned with the health of her body, right? Making her do calisthenics, feeding her food. I'm not saying she only works 8 hours, but I don't think she works 16 hours.
Maybe. I just wonder if she is aware how long it's been, because when they later have that conversation, when he says, you've been gone for a long time, I wonder if time kind of moves differently when you're not living a full life. Like, you don't realize, you know.
Oh, I think she knows. The doctor says to her, your husband remarried last year and has a baby now. Like, she's like 2 years. She, like, and she didn't say, what? I've been here 2 years, right? Like, she knows.
All right, so let's see. She goes into another room now. This looks to be her bedroom, I guess. And this is, see, we were getting ahead of ourselves. This is where she sees the red dress and she's like, oh shit. She knows she's going to get her teeth done.
No.
Well, she doesn't know she's getting her teeth done. She knows she's doing something she doesn't like or that hurts. Let's put it that way.
She knows I think she knows when she wears this dress, her mouth hurts.
She gets in pain. So, yeah, exactly.
In that sense, she probably knows the dentist, because any normal person would be like, oh, I must have been at the dentist. My teeth hurt, right?
Yeah.
So I think you're right, but I like, you didn't mean she remembers the dentist.
Right. I just meant she probably realizes it.
Yeah.
And Scarlett's saying there's 11: Allentown, Drainsville, Siena, Lucknow, Loveland, Wellington, St. Pierre, Zurich, Cold Harbor. I did take screen captures. We'll see as we go of a lot of them.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Yeah. But because I try, it's funny. When I watched this the first time, I could not take screen captures because I watched it on a screener clearly. And I was like, to take my notes, to write it down after, like, I was like using my cell phone to take a picture of the TV and zoom in, like what's that say on the screen? Because my eyesight sucks. And like, I didn't want to keep getting up and down. So I'm like using my, could you ever do that? Like I use my phone, like not a telescope, but like, I'm like
No,
trying to make out what it says on the screen.
No, because I watch it on like a 55-inch TV. So I can see it really well.
Wow. They're little words. I was going to say, I think mine's close to like 40.
I do sometimes stand up. I do sometimes stand up and like walk right up to the TV to get.
Yes. Well, I've learned instead to use the super zoom on my phone to look through it. Then I don't got to get up. I can be lazy. So they give her nice clothes though, right? Like that's a nice outfit. Anyway, even if the day's gonna suck, it's still a nice outfit. So I guess I thought at first this is a waiting room, but I think this is like her living room slash kitchen.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and they give her, I'm assuming wigs too, because her hair is longer than that when they show it after. So it seems like she gets wigs. I don't know. Maybe they're Allentown, and Allentown was his first completed case, right? Because they made that point before that he won that award for that.
Finished it in like record time or something, right?
Yeah. Cairns. Let's see. Drainsville. It's a couple of I meant to delete the doubles. I didn't. Sienna, Loveland. And I couldn't tell what that one said. It's kind of blurry. Adelaide. I remember now from when I went through them before. It says Adelaide. And Wellington.
Justin, this is my Baltimore. Justin was commenting on my purple sweater. It's my Lamar Jackson t-shirt.
Yeah, I was going to say mine's purple. It's just a t-shirt. It says love's I don't even know what it says. Love is a terrible thing to hate, I think. I don't even know what it says. I have to look at it. I'm like, what's my shirt say? That's how much I remember what I put on. And that's where she gets her finger pricked to get in the room. Clearly they're locked by blood. And
that's really interesting because I thought at first it's a hand scanner, which is a common thing, right? And your fingerprints are unique. And like, do they need your blood? If they could scan your fingerprints, do they need your blood? It was the finger prick was a really interesting security thing for me. Mm-hmm. It's not a retina scanner. It's not a fingerprint scanner.
Yeah. And yes, Scarlett, you're totally right. So much of this episode reminds me of Dollhouse with Deachin. So yes, I would agree with that. Actually, especially the whole Christmas scene, like that she's basically like doing what that guy wants. That makes me think of it more than anything. But you can tell her innie's on or whatever, and she comes into the dental room, and then we see. I think this is the first time we see his face. Right? Is this room?
Yeah, I think so.
And like I said, I think his name is Dr. Maurer.
It is. It's Dr. Maurer.
Okay. Let's see. So this is where she says, can I take a break? And he says it's been weeks or whatever, because she says it seems like that it wasn't. And then he shines light in her face and is going to drill. And then she comes out and her face hurts. And where am I at here? Sorry. I was checking if I missed anything. No, that's just that he does whatever dental work. And she's rubbing her mouth. She says that her mouth hurts. And the nurse says she was in there 2 hours. And then they go down the hall again and they pass, I don't know if it's that one or not, but they pass Rhodes, I think it says.
Yeah, Rhodes.
And then Cold Harbor. And that's when we know for sure that it is one of the, the rooms. Then we go back to Devin, who is trying to get Mark to wake up. And Mark is, again, is it Mark's memory? Is it Gemma's memory? It seems to be Mark's memory at this point. But
well, and there's a point where Devin says to her, Gabi, what's happening to him? And she says, I forget what she says, someone in the chat, she says he's traveling, he's
journeying,
journeying, something like that, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's mostly Mark's memories, but you're right. This one definitely appears to be Mark. I'm pointing at you can see me pointing at my TV. It's on my screen right now.
I know. And this is where I had written down about the colors in the outfits, but we'll just skip that. So he comes into her office and she sneezes. And he has brought her an ant. It also, I swear I had a picture of the ant farm. I guess not. He brought her an ant farm, and that's when she says that she likes plants, not ants. And they kind of jerk around. Considering her office is full of plants, I think he knew that, and it was more a joke, but it's not 100% clear. But she talks about reading. Now, I know I'm not going to say the name right, but Haji Murad.
Yeah.
And I know we were talking about this, and it's the character in it, or I guess it's also the person that wrote it, about them.
Tolstoy wrote it also.
Oh, is that not Tolstoy? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the name of the character. But forces to have an alliance with their enemy is what I had got from Google from the little AI summary thing.
Yeah, in order to save his family. He joins with his enemy in order to save his family. He turns against his own side.
Now, what that immediately makes me think, and I don't know, but what it makes me think is that could be foreshadowing that they're going to, in some way, work with Lumen, with Cobell, something. Because Devin, comments she's going to call Cobell and thinks about it. So it kind of made me wonder if that's what that's referencing, that might happen. Although for some reason my autocorrect changed it and it says Corbell.
It could also reference, I think there's a theory, a school of thought out there among friends that Harmony is not, among friends, among fans, we've talked about this, that Harmony maybe is not really all up in the cult of Kier. I mean, she was raised in the cult, right? But that she maybe is not as loyal a soldier, and that she could be like, because of whoever Charlotte and the whole respirator tube and all that, the theory that she's working to take them down from the inside.
Yeah, we've talked about that before.
So it could maybe refer to that also, right?
Yeah, it could. But either way, it could be foreshadowing something with somebody that's an enemy or somebody we think is an enemy. And I'm just looking, Scarlett sent a picture of John Travolta. This is what she's talking about with the Scientology thingy. It does kind of look similar to that. So, yeah, cool.
Scarlett's on a roll tonight, she says.
Yeah, Scarlett's walking. Yeah, we've got to find a connection there, right? So there's more memories. This is where it kind of flips through different memories, including the fact that he's making a crib, and she jokes he won't be able to do it. And there's French music. I'm not sure what is up with the French music that's playing, why it's there. And I finally had the name of it. Do you think I wrote it down here? No, of course I didn't.
What?
I think I took, because Scarlett was telling me what it could be, and then I found out from somebody in the chat what it actually was for sure.
Song,
now I lost it. The song.
I forget what it was.
Picture of it, chat. I think it's Laval. Let me see. I actually got the lyrics here, but it's on my iPad. Okay, it is love. I didn't take French. I took Spanish, so I don't know how to say it. But La Valse à Mille Temps. I don't know, but it means carousel, apparently. And it's about it says like about a merry-go-round and a carousel and going around and around, which is interesting because of the episode. I mean, I assume that that's what it's referencing, but why?
I didn't really
use a French song. I don't know, but that's the only thing I can think of, is that they are she is kind of going around and around in circles, essentially. So
maybe I don't know. I thought maybe, I didn't really think that much about it. It seemed the kind of music she would probably listen to.
Yeah.
And there is there's a French, there's a Haitian poster on the wall in the room.
Banque Nationale de Credit. I would like to know why the hell they have a poster of a bank, though.
Well, I'm going to step away. I have that picture up on my giant TV right now. And
okay.
I think it could be like a print from an art exhibit that was sponsored by the bank, or that was at the bank headquarters or something. I don't There, I know it's the National Bank of Haiti, and there's this weird is it weird? I don't know.
You're right. That could be maybe
it's a vintage advertisement.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a vintage advertisement for the bank.
Right. It could be, or it could not be what's actually in the picture, but just who sponsored it or whatever. It's just a weird thing to see on the wall about a bank, I thought. There I have the name of the song. I just was looking at the wrong place. But there's different flashes of James says the Egan's. That makes sense with Carousel. That it could be referencing that. That definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
So it shows.
I feel like Mark buying a crib was like this huge. Well, we know that Mark doesn't have a child now, and I guess never did. I felt like that crib is like the huge foreshadowing that like this is not going to go in a happy direction.
Yeah. Like, first I wasn't sure if it was a crib or a bed, because it could have been a bed, but if you look at the box, you can tell it's a crib.
I feel like every TV show where people like buy the crib before they get pregnant, like this is, or they set up the nursery before they get pregnant, this is where it goes, right?
Yeah. I'm assuming she's not pregnant yet. Now, she does basically tell Devin she's pregnant, so it's possible they know she's pregnant at this point, but I agree. It seems like maybe she doesn't know yet.
I don't think the timeline is that compressed. I mean, we see him.
No, because they keep showing flashes of time passing. I agree with you. I'm just saying, I don't think she's supposed to know if she's pregnant yet or be pregnant yet. They show her in this red dress and red flowers. I don't know if there's a point that it went from like the pink flowers to red flowers, and it's just like a spring, summer, whatever, like showing the seasons changing, I guess. And yet, yes, Allentown is the Christmas room, Scarlett. I'm glad you wrote all those down. I'm never going to remember all them, but that's good that there's that many. I'll have to. Actually, I'm going to, because I don't think I can copy. I don't think you can copy chat. Can you? I'm just going to be weird and take a picture of the screen because I'm taking a picture of all the ones she wrote out. So ignore me. That's what that was for. Okay, so they are having dinner with Devin and Rickon. And talking about climbing Everest.
So this was like maybe the biggest surprise of the entire show, that Rickon is like a super like sporty guy and a champion like climber, and not champion, but really into climbing and bouldering since he was a child. Like, I just never looked at that guy and thought outdoor sports enthusiast, climbing enthusiast.
No, I agree. I hadn't either. I think that this trip might be what he references in his book too. I have to go back and reread that chapter in the book, because I remember him saying something about when he was out with it was insinuating it was his brother-in-law and Gemma, but I don't think it actually said who it was. But I think it was in reference to this trip that they're talking about. But whenever Devin offers her a drink, she is like, no, and she gets it. That probably means she's pregnant. We're to assume she's pregnant at this point. Until she goes in the...
I mean,
sorry, go ahead.
I thought she might be pregnant, but she... By the way, they weren't on Everest. She says it was like Everest in the conversation. They didn't actually go to Mount Everest, but like the fact that she like very coyly sort of like doesn't, like, I wondered, maybe she thinks she's pregnant. She clearly hasn't told Mark yet, or clearly doesn't want Devin to say anything, doesn't want Rick, it's like too early. And then I thought, well, maybe she's just trying and doesn't want to be drinking while she's trying. And Devin's smiling because, like, oh, you're trying to get pregnant. That's so great, right? But there's
I just assumed she was pregnant and that he knew it. I didn't think he doesn't know it. I mean, he seems to know immediately what's wrong when he finds her in the bathroom when she lost the baby. So I have to assume that he knew she was pregnant, or he would have been like surprised.
Yeah, but I just thought, like, I don't think that was like the next day.
Oh, no. They were showing all those scenes going through this. That's what I was saying. I do think this is
like
later.
At this moment, maybe she hasn't told Mark. But you know what? A lot of people, when they are first pregnant, they don't want to say anything, and for a while until they're sure. You know, a lot of people don't say anything until like after the first trimester or whatever. So you're right. Maybe like she and Mark both know, but they don't want to go public and don't want Devin and to say anything, and God knows Rickon would probably blab the news everywhere, right?
He would.
So yeah,
But,
so
yeah, you're right. What
happened
after
myself into agreeing with you.
Yeah, but what happens after isn't necessarily immediately after this party, if that's what you're saying. I don't know that either.
Yeah. So Mickey like loved this conversation and feels like it really made her understand why Devin and Rickon are together, that they do go together. I kind of agree with that. This was like one of the best conversations I've seen between Devin and Rickon. And I wasn't like, who is this nut job she's married to?
Yeah, he seemed a little more put together. And yes, Scarlett, that is what I said, but I don't know how to speak French, so it came out very badly. But that was what I was saying. I just can't speak French. So I said, La valse militants. I don't know. I was laughing though at Justin.
Scary. Michael, you're right. It could be just that Gemma wanted Mark to tell her. Like that Gemma wanted Mark to tell Devin in his own time that they were pregnant.
Yeah. Do you mean with my accent, Big City? Yeah, I don't know how to say it. I haven't the slightest clue. Or have we hit any of the
what?
Any of the things in the chat yet? I was looking to see. I was seeing Muncher Luncher says if Cold Harbor is a doorway to Fromville through a faraway tree. That would be awesome. But I was just wondering, have we hit any of the other chat?
I got a lot of started comments for us to
yeah. I think a lot of them are still later. Some of these we've already done. That's why I unstar them. I try to, so I remember which one we've done.
I'll try to get through some of them some of them are ahead. We'll get to as we go along.
Yeah, I think a lot of them are further ahead. I just didn't want to get too far ahead if we were at some of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all about the testing floor. We're not that far yet. All right. Where'd it go? Now I lost where I was. Okay, so she refuses the wine. That was
yeah. And then the next scene is the miscarriage, right?
Yeah, and this is where I question, is some of it supposed to be her memory or is it just a storytelling device? Because clearly we see her without Mark, and if it's his memory, he wouldn't have seen her alone in the bathroom. But it's insinuating she had a miscarriage with the blood, and he comes in.
Did you take
her?
Did you take a picture of like when they morph the scene? Like the last scene is a close up on Gemma's eyes, and as they move into her like sitting on the toilet in the next scene, like it like flashes, her face kind of flashes blue and then red. It's kind of cool. I'm not always with you on this like red and blue symbolism, but there is an interesting transition
between that and Lumen. Yeah, because it switches to Lumen, I think is why.
No, it switches straight to the next memory here. There's no switch back to Lumen in between these two scenes. But
I don't know. I have the scene changes to a bluish tint and he's at Lumen. So I don't know. I have that it goes to Mark.
Going from their conversation into the miscarriage is a straight.
Oh, into the miscarriage. I thought you meant after this scene.
No, it's a straight shot on Gemma's eyes, and like it fades to blue and then like to red as they come into the next scene, which maybe makes me think we went from Mark's memory to Gemma's memory.
Oh, that's a good point.
Like we're going to
vice versa, one of them. Right? Yeah, and actually considering generally the Audi is red, that would make sense if it went from blue to red. Now I just want to see, that's what I said about Lumen, but before we get to that, I want to make a point here. I don't know that it has any meaning. I just think it's really cool the way they did it. But if you pay attention and really look at this scene, when he comes in during this, they reverse the film. The water from the shower starts going up. And then when it shows him, it looks like it's raining up. I'm not sure. Again,
right now.
Look at it real carefully. It for a while, the shower's coming down on her, and then all of a sudden you can tell if you look like the water droplets are going up her face. I mean, it's possible that they just reversed the film to get a different shot, but I assume it was intentional and it looks really cool because it looks like it's raining up when they show his face right after that too.
I'm watching it on my television right now, and it doesn't look like that to me.
To me, it looked like the water moved up her face at the very end.
Oh, it does. It does. Oh my God, it is going up her
I'm
face.
smart.
Oh my God, it's totally going up her face and going.
Isn't that cool?
Yes.
Like I said, I don't know that there's a meaning to it, but it looks really awesome the way they filmed it.
Everybody.
Also, I was going to say, we should mention who the director was. I didn't have it up. I'll put it up. It is directed by Jessica Lee Gagne. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's got an accent mark on it. But yeah, anyway, it was done really cool. I like the way they did that. So let's see. Scarlett was saying that might have been a World War I propaganda poster.
She's not saying might. She's got a lot of information on this in her following comments.
Oh, okay.
Scarlett has the receipts on this one.
She probably already researched it for their show, I'm sure. So.
It's a poster, is a French piece of World War I propaganda, imposing French citizens to support the war effort financially. So basically like the American buy war bonds posters, I guess, but a French kind of poster. And the artist is named Georges I don't speak French, Gorsat, who was in fact more famous for being a caricaturist. Wow. Thank you, Scarlett,
Thank you for that deep dive there. Mickey said, did anyone hear what they were saying in the background? Rickon was talking about turning pee into drinkable water. That part I missed. I guess I didn't listen to the whole thing.
You could do that. You could pee is sterile.
No, you can.
Like mostly water, and but he's very.
I don't know that I would want to do it, but you can.
I heard that he's way more of an outdoorsman than I could possibly have imagined. Right?
Yeah. Now they're talking about his mustache. All City says Rickon's mustache was stunning, and Michael says it looks even more like him with the mustache. Because Michael is his stand-in. That's what I found out over these past few days, which is really cool.
Who, Mike Adam Scott stand-in?
No, the one who plays Rickon.
Oh, Rickon stand-in.
Yeah. So.
Oh, hey, got like the same color hair.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I was not expecting to have so much affection for Gemma in only one episode of work. Yeah, it made me like Gemma and feel bad for Gemma a lot. Like I think it changed my opinion a bit of him too.
Yeah, it actually made me. It is my favorite. So I'm not really sure how our actress Miss Lockman pronounces her first name.
They said Deachin in the behind the scenes thing. Yeah, because I paid attention because I didn't know how to say it either. All these years we've talked about her, I never found out how to say her name.
This is my favorite piece of her. I'd say this is my favorite piece of her work.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree.
And liking Gemma so much in this episode has made me like that actress more.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, see, Mackie says about the water. Whoops.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was going up. I told you, see?
My mind. All City says this was this director's debut. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that is unbelievable.
Your debut is this incredible episode of Severance. Wow.
Yeah, definitely. And Scarlett also says it was a 9-year relationship. They probably did say that at some point and had missed this. And yeah, Michael was saying this earlier too, that Gemma and Mark's house, the director was living in that house when they were filming this. So that's pretty cool. Or at least I think he meant when they were filming this. Maybe he means actually their house. I don't know. Have to be a little more clear, but that's cool.
Jamie, Scarlett's asking, have you listened to Rickon's audiobook? I have not.
I read the beginning of it, not the audio part. I was reading it. And that was the 1 week it came out. And you know what? I honestly forgot to finish it. I got to go back to it. I had intended to, but with everything going on, I just completely forgot to go back to it. And yeah, that's what I was saying. I think in that book, he's talking about a trip he had with them, I believe. And I think it is referencing that time. It doesn't outright say their name, but it's implied that he's talking about the two of them.
Well, in that conversation, they're talking about a trip that Devin and Rickon took, and aren't they saying like you should go with us sometime?
Well, yeah, I guess it couldn't be that exact trip then. It would have to be a different trip. But they were telling something. He was telling about a trip, and that the two of them went. There was something about a beehive. I don't like I said, it's been a while, and I didn't finish the book. I need to go back and finish it. I really should have. Let's see.
Back to the scene that we're discussing. I thought that she's wearing a mint green nightie in this scene.
Yeah, I thought it was like a slip or a nightgown or something like that.
Nightie, but I was interested how the color mirrors the color that she wears in the lab on the separate floor.
Yeah, it does. You are correct. So, let's see. And Michael's saying the director was renting the house, and they couldn't find a good location, so they decided to film it there. I'm really, really interested in getting all these behind the scenes things. I love that. I love hearing things like that. So thank you for that. All right. So this is where it switches to his memory of Lumen and Miss Casey. And this is the scene where Miss Casey is there to observe Helly, to look for signs of sadness and verbally encourage her to forgo suicide attempts. I never thought about it until now, but that's kind of an appropriate scene, isn't it? Because it's like right now sort of about Gemma and her grief losing the baby. I mean, I'm not saying she was suicidal, but just the scene that they picked actually kind of makes sense with that. It connects in a way. Not exactly. I'm just saying it's a sad scene.
This is a scene we've seen before, though. This is a scene that we've seen before.
Yes. Now this is when we see the wires, and this is where Michael's saying it blows his mind it wasn't CGI. It is a really, I didn't know that it wasn't CGI until he said that. I would have assumed it was too. But that is really cool the way they do that. I think I got a couple. They show the computer wires, and clearly they're blue.
Oh my God. They're just, dark, and it's just dark, and there's just light.
Well, I know, but it's going from the and
there are blue wires in the world.
No, I know, but it's going from the any world to the green room here. Now, this is like super interesting. We see this guy, and I did not look. I meant to look and forgot, but this, I think that I was going to see if it said it. Hold on. I want to see if it's actually in there. It tells us. I think that, I don't know.
What, Jamie?
I am wondering, I don't know. It has the real actors listed, which they're not actually in the episode. So I don't know, but people have stated that these might be, yeah, we're too much. Wait, you do this so much, you go down. Sometimes we go a little nuts. We get it. Yeah, that's okay. Michael says that it's Adam Scott's stand-in, and he got a part in the show. That's cool. Well, see, you need to tell them that you need a part. You're Rick and stand-in. Tell them to make a scene where you can go in and be on camera. I mean, he had
the back of his head on camera. Come on.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yes, but I mean, you know what I mean. But I was just going to say, though, some people said that these were their doubles from Woe's Hollow, and I don't know whether they are. It's not listed in the credits. That's what I was trying to figure out. So I don't know. But we see he is watching Mark. He's watching surveillance, I guess. But he also sees Mark's computer screens, too. He's kind of scanning through different things because the percentages in that changes. You can see that's Drainsville, probably when she was in there, I'm assuming. And he's watching on this little computer, and see, I took a picture of some of the ones there. Cairns, Culpeper. I'm assuming that's another room. I don't think we saw a Culpeper room, but they're listed. And there's that. And yeah, see, those are, oh no, there's 5 there. So that isn't the 6 boxes. It can't be. Or no, there's 5 boxes. I was thinking there was 6 boxes. Okay. This must be the percentage of each box, I guess. But anyway, I also took a picture of this, and I think Scarlett may want to look at this. because she was writing them all down. I forgot I had this, or I would have mentioned this before when she was taking time to write them all down. I'm assuming that is most of them. Maybe not all of them, because Cold Harbor isn't there, but Allentown, Trinity.
So that's 24. Plus Painesville,
Victoria, Lucknow, St. Pierre, Coleman, Waynesboro. Most of them are cities, but they're not all. Cork, Molds, Cairns, looks like Bodo, Zurich, Culpeper, Bellingham, Billings, Yakima, Loveland, Merida, Sopo Hoppy. It looks like Vilnius. Sob Choppy. Yeah, I'm looking at I'm looking at it sideways. It looks like Sopa Choppy, Rhodes, Wellington, and Dranesville. So there are a list of all of them, and you can see that it looks like they're all at 100%. So I'm guessing at this point, all he's got left is Cold Harbor, maybe, since it's not listed there. So yeah, maybe there's 90, maybe there's 25 then. I would assume.
I mean, I wouldn't. Yeah. Cold Harbor would be 25.
Yeah. Okay. Michael says, I don't think they are, because Dylan's Watcher doesn't look as close of a match as the Shadow Double from episode 4. You might be right. But the point is, there's Jello. See, they aren't all there on there. Cold Harbor. And he's not done with that one. Yeah, but it's not on that list. I don't know why. But the point is, when you see these three people, four people. I can't count. 4 people. Like Jamie can't count to 4. They are definitely representative of the 4 of them, whether they look exactly like them or not. And if you can look, each of them on their monitor is that specific character. Like Helly's on the one monitor, Mark's on the other one, Irving and Dylan. Which makes me wonder, are they just surveilling them, or is this like another form of their work that they're, refining them? I don't know. Well, it's interesting.
They have mice on their desk, right?
Instead of a keyboard. Yeah, you're right. They do. So maybe
makes me think that I wondered if they are doing something on the other side of the screen. If they're manipulating the numbers and the things that the innies see on their screens on the other side.
I don't know, but they're surveilling them and doing something. Beyond that, I don't know.
Because to me, it doesn't make any sense that like they each need their own surveiller. Like, couldn't one person watch the 4 screens if you're just watching them?
I think there's something more than that. I'm just saying I don't know.
I think that maybe they're manipulating some things that our innies are seeing on their side, but
maybe. But it does make me think that all 4 of them are important. Not just Mark. I don't know, because this is what Mickey says, and this is kind of what I've been wondering, if these are Mark's files, and who are the other 3 refiners refining? Like, is Gemma is down there? Who else is down there participating as the other 3 complete their files? And we've had this conversation quite a few times before. Are the other ones important, or are they just doing busy work and only Mark's important? Like, we don't really know, but this makes me think it's more likely that all 3 of them are important.
Why do we think that they're all Mark's files? Couldn't they just be the team's files?
They could be. I guess that's true. I assumed they were Mark's files the way they did it.
I assumed they were the team's files because there's so many of them. But Mark's been there 2 years, so he could have worked on 24 files, whereas Irving has been there like 8 years. He would have worked on like a lot more files, right?
Yeah. Well, either way, they were shown on that guy's computer that was looking at Mark. So that's why I assumed they were all Mark's, but I guess they could be. And a lot of them that they showed, they have showed the little Rolodex with the name on Mark's computer in the past. And Fletcher's called him MDR 2.0. Yeah.
And why does Helena have a watcher?
Probably for when it's Helly and not Helena, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Mickey says in the Lexington letter, it says that when you get a file, it pops up on your screen. So I assume they're all Mark's.
Okay.
I gotta assume that, but I mean, we're not 100% sure, but I assumed it too. Now I noticed Michael says he's sad because Irving's watcher's gone in the next scene. I didn't notice. It does look like he's not there in that one. I don't know how many pictures I took.
He's here in this scene. In this scene, he's there.
Yeah, I just assumed. Well, Yeah, he's there in that one, but I didn't realize he disappeared at one point.
When we see them later.
Which I'm assuming is just because it's taking place over different periods of time. And I don't know, Fletcher's saying, is this the best episode of the season? I don't know. What do you think, Karen? I think it's the most informative episode of the season. I don't know that it's necessarily the best. I just think it's a really cool episode because we get information. So much is going on. It's crazy. I mean, I've been saying all season, this is the episode that there's a lot to talk about, you know?
I mean, Fletcher, before you joined us, we, like many of us, agreed it was certainly a game changer. Is it the best? I'm trying to think if there's an episode I liked better. I like this better than the retreat episode, which I think it might be the best episode because I think, for me, it's the best episode. And the game changiness and the information dump is part of why it's the best episode for me.
Yeah, definitely one of them. I have to wonder, though, the fact that they're watching or changing or doing something to the four of them, why is it significant? Like, why do they look like them, sort of? Like, it's clear that they each have one representing one of them, you know, which is very interesting. I don't know what it means. Like, maybe they aren't real. I don't know, but it's just odd that they did, or it might have just been to be funny. I mean, let's be honest.
This show is so weird.
Yeah, the testing floor feels like the Dharma Initiative of Severance. It does. All right, now where was I at? Okay, so so there's one for each of the people on the severed floor. I wonder how many offices there are like this, though. Like, we only really know our, 4 people. But Drummond is there, and he asks if the severance barriers are holding. And it was like speeding through footage, and it slows back down here. And okay, the guy standing with him, that is definitely that Dr. Maurer with a mustache in that tracksuit. I don't know what room it's from that he's dressed up for, but it is the same guy. I know when I watched this the first time, I kept going back to check these were all the same people. That is him.
He's wearing a whistle. He's a coach. And in the next scene, and it switches to Gemma's wearing sort of like an athletic kind of outfit, like a volleyball uniform, cheerleading uniform kind of thing in the next shot. So there's some sort of sports room involved.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, we don't know that every room is torture. We've only seen the bad rooms. Like, maybe this is one of the good rooms, especially if some of them are meant to represent the Tempers. So maybe this is a more fun
I don't think they represent the Tempers because there's so many of them. And but I could be totally wrong. I could be totally wrong. I don't think that right now.
Well, I just know whatever they're refining, they are like separating them into what the numbers make them feel and everything, which is what makes me think too that it's connected. But I don't know. Nikki says they are refining data from the refiners and turning it into code so they can repeat the algorithm again. Then the need for refiners won't be needed because it'll all be code. Maybe.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Let's see. Mickey is waiting for Cobell to come back. Fletcher likes this episode, the 4th episode in the season finale. They represent the other emotions that Cobell listed off in that one scene. Now that he said that, I forgot there are a list of 7 something. What are 7? What the hell? 7 something. What are they? 7?
I don't know. I can't remember everything from the show.
No, I know, but now that he said that, I remember there are.
I don't know. There are 7.
Looking for it to see if I can find it, but it's all just giving me stuff on episode 7. That's not helping. Anyway, there are 7 something that they mentioned in one of the other episodes, and I don't for the life remember what it is. Yeah, Michael can't remember either. If somebody remembers, tell me. We've mentioned them before. I just don't remember.
Yeah.
But anyway, my point was that is Dr. Maurer that are in all these different rooms and talking to Drummond. So this is where, so they're watching Gemma and where'd it go? Let's see. He says he tells him yes, the technology is working. And Drummond, excuse me, thinks that he likes Gemma. And he says she's easy to like, and she's fond of him too, which is total bullshit. But he says that.
He's a creeper. That dude is a creeper.
He is totally a creeper. And then Drummond says, "Didn't she try to break your fingers?" I feel like there's some kind of joke in there where one of them's like, "Oh yeah," like you know how you see those scenes and they're like, "That's what made him fall in love" or something like that.
I took it. I took it as like a clue that Gemma has tried to escape before.
Oh yeah, I definitely don't think she likes him. I just meant it makes me think of other scenes where you see that in a show and they say something like that. But yeah, she's definitely hurt him or tried to escape. Like you said, 9 different virtues. That I think that is it, Mickey. I think you're right, but I think it was 9. You said 9. I thought it was 7. Wait, let me look it up.
Maybe there are 9.
Maybe there are 9, and if there are, that would make me think she's severed 9 times. But maybe the 9th is Gemma. Like we said 8, so that actually the 9 core principles is what they're called. They're not actually called virtues, but that's the same thing. But that they're called principles. I found it, and I do remember it. But do you think it showed me a list? No, of course not. Hold on, I'm looking. I'm Googling. 4 tempers and 9 principles. I know it is somewhere. Okay. Verb, wit, humility, numbness, nimbleness, wiles. I guess there's some of them. See, those are the things I think he's saying later is the principles then, not the
I guess. I'm having flashbacks to like every episode of Lost when we were like, 15 is a number. That's a number. That's a clue.
Well, no, but it's just since they are refining into like certain number of baskets, it would make sense that there's 9. But like I said, maybe Gemma is the 9th.
I don't know that.
As opposed to a 9th innie. She could be the 9th.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't know that that's.
Anyway,
time will tell. Time will tell.
Yeah, time will tell. I thought this is where he says he's going to have to forget about her, but he didn't. That isn't here. That's later. So this is where it shows the scene, and yes, it does kind of look like an athletic outfit from a different decade, maybe.
Maybe, yeah, or from I don't know.
Then, hold on, let me.
And we get to the fertility clinic in the next scene.
Yeah. Okay, so this is at the fertility clinic, yes. Now, guess who's there at the fertility clinic in real life? Da-da-da. So, now I don't know whether there are a couple theories of what's going on here, and this is to me where I am completely not sure of anything and confused. Is it that they found Gemma during the fertility treatment? They're like, looking for candidates and they kidnapped her and pretend she died? Or is it that she was agreeing to some of this for fertility treatment and then they just didn't let her go? And like maybe she was going home in between for some of it. It's not super clear to me exactly when and what happened with that and when they kidnapped her.
For much of this episode, after they like established that Mark and Gemma are seeking fertility treatment, for much of the rest of the episode, I was thinking like, is this how they coerced Gemma? Like, did Gemma agree to what's happened? Did they promise her a baby if she agrees to like participate in the testing floor? Like people who want to have she wants something she wants it so badly, like, and going to great lengths and expense to have a baby, as many people do. I thought, like, is this maybe how they coerced her into agreeing to this? By the end of the episode, I've changed my mind, but at this point, I thought maybe like they were using the fertility clinic as a way to recruit vulnerable people.
It could be. That's where, yeah, I was thinking it was a possibility that she was voluntarily going for a little bit. And then when she decided she wanted to leave, that's when they faked her death. But it may be that they kidnapped her and then faked her death. It's not super clear, but I think at least some point, potentially maybe it was a volunteer and then it just became something else. I don't know. It's not clear to me.
I thought so. I thought that, but at the very end of the episode, I thought she had been kidnapped. I changed my mind, but from here till almost the end, I believed, along with Mickey, that she was exploited due to her desperation, and that she had maybe agreed to participate in this, and didn't realize she was going to be basically imprisoned against her will for 2 years. But by the end of the episode, I thought maybe this is actually just a kind of a hunting ground for them, and that they kidnapped her and faked her death. Because by the end of the episode, I didn't believe she would hurt Mark that way, to fake her own death.
Oh, no, I definitely don't think she agreed to fake her own death. I just thought that the way, because it's not clear to me where the timeline is during some of these, I thought that maybe like some of these tests she was getting during her fertility treatment, like she went to Lumen and then they let her go home. Yeah. And then when she started complaining, they faked her death to keep her there and wouldn't let her leave. No, I definitely don't think she faked her own death. I don't think she was in on that. I'm just saying, I wonder if she was ever there voluntarily, or if you're right that they found her during fertility treatment and kidnapped her and faked her death.
I don't see how you can maintain your position as a professor of Russian literature and be at Lumen for hours per day and like not let Mark know. And
okay, that is a good point.
Like I don't see how that would work. But I was kind of, at this point, I was kind of down with the idea that she went there voluntarily and then has been trapped ever since. But now
you're right. It took a lot of time out of her life. So I don't know. Yeah. But you're probably right. I hadn't thought of that.
I could be wrong, but
yeah. But at any rate, he is there in the fertility clinic.
Creeper.
So, we know that he's not just a Lumen employee, or that this company is, I guess, owned by Lumen. Could also be the fact. I mean, maybe he's a doctor too. I don't know. But they are watching this little girl while they're sitting there playing. I wonder if she's somebody's little girl. She's cute. But they're talking about it, and Mark tells her, not to be upset that a lot of people take this step. And they tell each other they love each other. And then she fills out this patient intake form. It is for and I meant to look this up to see if there was anything relevant with this name, but it's probably just somebody that works on the show had the name. Butzman. Oh, interesting. Typing it into Google, because it's Butzman Fertility Clinic. When I typed it in Google, it says it's a German figure similar to the boogeyman, a ghost or demon that scares children. So that's very interesting. That would make sense, because clearly they're not a good place. But there's also a drop up top, which makes me think it's owned by Lumen.
It can't be a total front. Like, are all those people in there going to have their like you can't have every woman who comes to your fertility clinic like fake her own death and get kidnapped because
you're right. They probably actually have a fertility.
There's a legitimate fertility business going on there also.
Probably. Right? But I would say that Lumen either owns the company or is involved.
But Lumen owns like freaking everything, right? Like all the drug, there's Lumen Pharmaceuticals makes like every drug these people take, and they're like Lumen's into everything, right?
They are. Well, the whole town is Lumen.
Yeah.
But either way, Butzman does mean, like I said, like the boogeyman.
That's cool. That's cool. That's cool.
Yep. Then it changes. Oops, sorry, wrong thing. Okay. Then it changes back to her being tested or whatever again in her living room or whatever you want to call it. Now, this is where the door shuts.
Oh, wait, go back. There's a couple of comments I want to take before we go on.
Go ahead. Yeah.
It has been commented that, they make no effort to make her living quarters cozy at all.
No, they're very sterile.
She loves plants, and they didn't give her a single one. It's just really, sterile is the right word there, Jamie. And then talking about the fertility clinic, what do you think happened first? The severed chip procedure or the fertility con?
I think fertility first.
I think the fertility con. I think fertility clinic was the entry point for Lumen to find her. I don't think that they were looking for Gemma and Mark.
Yeah, I wonder if they just got lucky when Mark severed himself.
Yes, I think that explains why Mark is important. I think that they whatever reason whatever they're doing with Gemma, they got lucky when Mark applied for severance through his grief, and he's important now because because they have both halves of the couple.
Yeah, and can test and see if they recognize each other, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because probably usually both partners in a married couple don't become severed. I mean, that often or whatever, or not, at least not one's on the testing floor and one's on the severed floor anyway.
Yeah.
So let's see. So this is where it shows when the door shuts, it shows different flashes of things. Now I have to mention too, when they show the testing floor, I'm not actually sure anymore that the hallway is black, because later it makes me think the hallway's white, but there's no lights on, and it's just not lighting up like the other hallways.
Did you notice? Yeah, later when she walks down the hallway, as each panel lights up as she takes a step past it, right?
Right. So I don't think it's actually literally black, although the hallway to the break room's dark, but I don't think that one is. Now that shows that, I guess it's spinning, because this is the floor and this is the ceiling, seems to be. But then it goes to the two of them, and Mark tells her it's time, and no, she tells Mark it's time. And he comes into the bathroom. He is going to give her a I can't think today. An injection for fertility. What's it called? A hormone injection.
Fertility injection.
Yeah, fertility injection. I guess I'm making it difficult. Yeah. And he tells her to bend over. He's gonna give it to her now.
No, wait. Do you notice what he says here?
Yes, I was gonna get to that. She says, I'll write you a thank you note. And he says, you hate writing thank you notes. Now, I don't know. This could be taken different ways. I think I had read, and I don't remember where I read this, so I apologize whose ever theory it was, but had said that they think that means that since she hates writing thank you notes, that's why they are having her write thank you notes. And like it was specifically something chosen she didn't like to do for that room. I wasn't sure if that's necessarily what it meant or not, but that makes sense.
I mean, it certainly, at a minimum, it foreshadows what we'll see later with the thank you notes. I mean, is there anybody who doesn't hate writing thank you notes? It's kind of if any of you love, please put in the chat if you love writing thank you notes.
Well, I think one is okay. Writing so many, your hand cramps up is another thing.
Well, I mean, yes, because there's like a stack of 100 of them, and it part of the torture is not just the pain in her hand, but the repetitive task. This personality only writes thank you notes. So I guess maybe it's a combination of all those things. Mm-hmm. Wait, Michael enjoys writing thank you notes. Oh, that means you're a good person who really feels thankful and sees it as expressing your thanks and not just as a chore.
I would ask, how many thank you notes are you writing, though? That's my big question. Like, I don't know that I mind writing thank you notes, but if I had that many, then I'd be like, no.
That's why people take months to send their wedding thank you notes. Michael has a very insightful comment here. Knowing Lumen, the fertility injection is probably the thing keeping her from getting pregnant.
I hadn't thought of that, but you're probably right.
That either. Yes, because they want to maybe exacerbate the pressure on her and her depression and despair, make her more vulnerable.
Yeah, that is insightful. Wow. I have not thought of that. I like that.
But I've also never had to do it that many times. Right.
Right. So let's see. So then she is back at Lumen, and she is getting, I think, an x-ray of her mouth. It is what that looks like it's for. But it shows first now, I'm sure everybody recognizes this is the scene that Mark didn't see, but that was actually we assume it was supposed to be what was really on his screen when he was refining. That we've seen in the past. But then it turns into her x-ray, and you can see her severed chip. So I don't know if he's actually doing it to x-ray her mouth or just to show her whole x-ray. I don't know, but it would It looks like it's a dental x-ray machine. He's in his dentist clothes. So I'm assuming, although you know what? She's wearing her green clothes though.
She's
so
not.
That's kind of interesting.
So it's a x-ray of her head because she talks and it moves in the next shot, right?
Right. I just thought maybe it was like,
look, Jamie,
a dental x-ray.
I've had so many dental x-rays in the last 8 months, and my dentist doesn't take a picture of my whole damn head. They're trying to get a close-up of your teeth, right?
Usually. I don't know. I stood in this one x-ray thing before that, like the whole thing went around my head. It was like newer.
Well, he's not, I mean, she's not wearing a costume. She's not in the dentist's office.
Right. No, I didn't think of that. But it's interesting that he's dressed like he's from that room, though, isn't it?
Well, he's wearing a lab coat. Like, dentists and doctors don't wear dissimilar clothes, and she won't recognize it as the dentist. Like, if she sees the dentist when she's severed, right? She won't recognize it as the dentist outfit.
True.
I think he's X-ray. Like, it's some sort of. Now, she's not wearing the radiation blanket they put on you when you get an x-ray usually, but it's a very advanced kind of thing. Like, she talks and it moves.
Yes, but hopefully this is like futuristic tech that won't hurt her because she's not covered in lead, because you're right, that's not good. But he asks how she's feeling and she says her mouth hurts, and that's when he asks which room, and she says the first one, Wellington. And this asks how many rooms she's visited today, 6. And this is where he lists those 6. The Billings room, Lucknow room, St. Pierre, Cairns, Zurich, and Wellington. And she doesn't remember what happened in any of the rooms. But he asks how she feels after when she exits. And this is where he says, did any of the rooms make her feel despair, fervor, gaiety? And that's where I was saying, are those part of the 9 principles? I don't know. I assumed at this point that like despair could be woe or maybe dread, where gaiety could be frolic, but I don't know.
But isn't this when she also says, can you not talk like a goddamn weirdo or whatever she says?
Yeah.
And it could just be the way they talk. Instead of saying, did any of them make you feel happy? He says,
Yeah, that's possible. She says that there was another door that said Cold Harbor. She hasn't been in yet, and says, what happens once I've been in all the rooms? And he says, you'll see the world again and the world will see you. And she asks about seeing Mark, and he says, Mark will benefit from the world you're siring. Kier will take away all his pain, just like Kier takes taken away yours. And that's when she tells him to talk normal. And he just dreams sweet.
So also in this scene, go ahead, click. We're not done with this scene yet.
I don't know if there's anything else in this scene.
In this scene, when he asks her what rooms she's gone to, and he says, and you remember nothing? And like, she kind of she says, no, nothing. But the look on her face at that time was when I started to think that she's lying and maybe she's starting to remember stuff.
Interesting. I'd have to rewatch it. I did not notice that.
I've got it up on my screen now, and she has this like little she gives this like little kind of smile and says nothing. And to me, it felt disingenuous. And I wondered if this is when she.
Are you just advancing this as we do this? Is that what you're doing?
What?
Are you just advancing the video?
Yeah, I'm advancing my TV to go along.
Okay, no, I just wondered because
that's why I keep looking off to my left. I have my big TV over here, and I'm trying to see the same shots, so I don't have to lean at my 13-inch laptop screen with my glasses on like this to see everything.
That's cool.
I have the closed captioning on, so I can see the dialogue.
I don't know why I didn't take a picture of it, but Gemma was sitting at the table with a pregnancy test and looked upset, so it must be negative. And Mark calls her, but I don't have pictures of that. So fast forward to Ragabi.
I love Ragabi. I love Dr. Ragabi.
Yeah, she's awesome. She tells Devin that Mark's stable. It was an isolated event and he's journeying now. That was what she says. That he'll wake up when he wakes up, when he's ready. Devin asks if it'll really work, and she says he has no other choice. Now, this is where Devin mentions the innie cabin, a cottage where people become their innies. And we've seen this in the other episode, the pregnant woman that was severed. We've talked about this before, but Ragabi tells her it's the Demona birthing retreat. Now, I've been looking everything up today, I'll tell you. Oh, tell me I did not. Is that now my question is that just an autocorrect or did I look the wrong thing up? Hold on, let me make sure. No, I looked the right thing up. Okay, I was making sure. Because I have, for some reason, I have Demona and then I have Ramona. So I was just making sure that it's the same thing because now I'm not seeing it. What? I don't know. Weird. Because I don't know. My text says Demona birthing retreat, and then it says Ramona. So I don't know if my notes are auto-corrected or if I accidentally looked up. No, I must have looked up Demona because Ramona brings up nothing. Anyway, so Demona could mean ill-fated misuse of power, which I thought is really interesting to call it that because that's what it is.
Ill-fated use of power?
Yeah, ill-fated or like two different things, ill-fated and then misuse of power. So could be bad things or misuse of power. I just thought it was interesting that Demona can mean that. I mean, obviously it can also mean a demon too, but I don't think it's referring to that. But anyway, so Justin, why does Devin suggest using the Imni cabin to reawaken Mark, and what might this imply about Severance technology? Well, I think she suggests it because she's saying they can talk to his innie and see if he found out anything. That would be my short and sweet answer.
Oh, because when you go to the cabin, you can be severed. You can become your severed personality. Yeah.
It's like the elevator or the, cordoned off outside. It turns them into their innie. I mean, I'm not sure that would necessarily help them, but that's her idea. They can find out more about Gemma that way. What does it say about severed technology? I mean, I don't know that the in cabin is severed. I guess, or is like the severed floor.
Well, I mean, it means that you could install it in other places besides the Lumen building.
Yeah, but we already know that forest at some place, if it was a real forest.
Devin was there. It's a real forest. Devin was there.
Devin? No. I mean the forest from the
retreat. From the retreat. Yeah. We don't know.
So we already knew it could be other places. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other ones that we're up to yet, or we're still not up to?
I'm keeping an eye on them. I don't know.
Okay. Sorry, guys, we're so far behind. We're getting there. So anyway, she says that that's not a good idea. They're different things, and that this is how they get Gemma out with what they're doing. And she's like, it looks like this is how you kill my brother. And she's like, you two are definitely related. This is where she says she could call Harmony because she runs a severed floor. And Devin's like, because she doesn't anymore and would know how to get to the cabin. But Ragabi's like, she's Lumen. She was raised by them. She's a soldier. This is a bad idea. And that she would turn them over to Lumen and everything she's done to fight it would be gone. So she's like, no, we're just going to resume the treatment. And when Devin keeps pushing it, she's like, no, I have custody of his brain and I'm calling her. She says she can't be part of it and she leaves. Devin tries to stop her. And she says it's Devin making that choice, even though Devin says she needs her. I mean, Devin possibly could have backtracked and agreed not to call Cobell, but she didn't. So she leaves.
I think Dr. Ragabi did the right thing. And I think that it is Devin's choice. Devin's like, I'm going to call this person. And Ragabi's like, look, I'm not going to Lumen jail.
Yeah.
And Devin basically drove Dr. Ragabi out, which, okay, like really why? I mean, if Ragabi can't wake him up and wants to continue testing on him and Devin doesn't want her, Devin doesn't want her there anyway, right? Like Devin is like, you can't touch my brother. Don't do anything to him. But then all of a sudden she's like, wait, don't leave.
And she's like, you don't want me to continue. You think you know better. Then take care of it. Bye. That's basically.
Yeah.
So she leaves. Now whether she'll come back or not, we don't know yet. Okay, so this is where Mark starts talking in his sleep. And he starts saying, which we find out because of his next memory, that Chikhai Bardo. which is a reference to the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. And it's the first phase of death in which the soul either escapes the cycle of rebirth or is drawn back into our illusionary world to be born again. I don't know what that took that from, but that was just the quick Google of it. But it's, I think, a quote from whatever site it took it from. So, I mean, you could look at it as kind of the carousel thing. She's going around and around and keeps getting stuck back in different rooms. But she says in this little thing that it also means the card that she's looking at, that they're looking at, Chikhai Bardo, the guy's fighting himself, defeating his own inner psyche, ego death. So I'm not sure if that definition that I got quite matches what she says. I don't know. What do you think about that whole thing?
I mean, I've heard of Bardo before. I didn't go down that Eastern philosophy path to read about it. Bardo also, though, is so I did Google that it's like a state between life and death, kind of. It's like that gray area between life and death. There are probably people, thank you, David. Where have you been, David? It's from Buddhism. The key to escaping the Bardo is realizing the peaceful and wrathful deities assembled are your inner archetypes. So thank you for that. I'm processing that as I read it, like escaping the Bardo. So escaping, does it parallel that the key to escaping Severance is going to be realizing the two parts of you are putting those two parts of you together, kind of, right?
Reconciling those two parts. That's what I think. When we're looking at these cards, Mark picks it up and says that she says that it's two guys fighting each other, that you can tell because of their hair, although I'm not sure that to me proves it's the same person. But she says it's the same guy fighting himself, defeating his own psychic ego death. So yeah, I guess it's like you said, like defeating that alternate version of you and becoming one, I guess is the way you could look at it.
I guess. I mean, I would not get that from that card, but
I'm going to go with Gemma said. I didn't get that from that card either. And this is, I don't know if it's the exact card or just the same like artist, but I'm pretty sure that's probably the exact same card that Dylan stole. I can't 100% remember. Maybe somebody in the chat does, but I'm assuming it's the same card he had stolen.
I mean, the really important part of this conversation is where she says, I think I got on the mailing list from the fertility clinic. Yeah. Which, I don't know why a fertility clinic would send this to you, right? Or a fertility clinic should not be selling your name and address to anybody else. So that to me, that was
draw ducks or rabbits or whatever. Oh, that's also he's right. It is. That's also the yoga. The yoga pose that Gemma was doing.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
But either way, it's two versions of somebody's psyche, aka their innie and their outie, I think is the other takeaway from that. And also that they're dressed opposite too, their colors, they're opposite, kind of like how we normally, red, blue, whatever. Yeah. But it's interesting. Actually, it makes more sense actually with her if you look at the colors, because she's dressed in green through the whole thing, and we know that blue represents innie, so it's okay, let's see. David says the Bardo is a funeral rite, but the lessons from the Bardo are for the living to reach your higher self after ego death. Ego, alter ego, self, shadow self. And we know, obviously, the shadow, the people that were in the twins that were in Woe's Hollow. And it is. I mean, it's definitely about duality and about severed self, and but I don't know. She says it's where you you have to draw a duck or a rabbit. I thought at first she meant when you take those what do they call Rorschach tests, but she said draw a duck or a rabbit. So I don't know what she's talking about. exactly. Some kind of test, psychoval test or something. He thinks it's weird and doesn't know why she's doing it. She said she was enjoying it until he ruined it. And this is where
we start to see cracks
yeah,
in the relationship, right?
yeah. He tells her she's overreacting, and she tells him not to tell her how she's feeling. That he doesn't know that, and he's like, or he says he doesn't know how she's feeling, and then she says she feels like shit, beat to shit. And now he does say here though, then maybe we should stop. He's like saying maybe we should stop the fertility treatments then. So he's not pushing her to do it clearly.
Yeah.
I mean, he's willing to stop, so it's not all his, his fault or whatever. So that's that. And then
please go back. In this scene is where she says,
are those salt shakers?
They did used to have drawing competitions where they sent you a paper telling you to draw something and mail it back.
Oh, that. Yeah, okay. I remember those.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's what she meant. Yeah.
So in this scene where Gemma and Mark are beginning to, he's ruined it for her. At the end of the scene, the transition to the next scene is a close-up on a vase full of thistle. If they're thistles, I believe, in that vase. So thistles are a key image in the novel that she's reading, The Death of Ivan Ilyich. And so I haven't read it. I read this on the internet earlier. Let me see if I can paraphrase this. There's a theme of the thistle, and no, it's not Death of Ivan Ilyich. It's the other guy, the other book, Haji Murad, where he sees a beautiful thistle and he picks it, but
it froze. Karen froze. Oh no, we'll wait for her to come back. While we're waiting, I'll put up. I like that Michael's surprised that she didn't say draw a goat, or they didn't want her to draw a goat. I would agree with that statement. I'm surprised they didn't mention a goat. I want to know though about these salt and pepper shakers. They look like kings, I think, like from a deck of cards, kind of. That's what it makes me think of. Well, there you are. Wait for Karen to come back. Now there's two of you.
Now there's two of me, right?
Here, I'll close the other one. Well, I don't know if I can close the other one. Yeah, I can. Remove. There we go. You still there, or did I screw you up?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Why is your other one still? Oh, I added you. I see what I did. There we go.
Anyway, the thistle is a theme in that book, Haji Murad, and it has to do, I'm paraphrasing this, but there's like a healthy, beautiful thistle, and there's like a crushed thistle in the snow, and the lesson at the end of it is that the one that looked a little crushed was actually more resilient, that it was able to grow in the snow, and he comes to see the crushed thistle as I don't want to say more beautiful. I can't remember exactly how I read it, but I guess my point is that it's a theme in this Russian novel that she had been reading earlier.
Remind me what the novel was about, because this wasn't the one about the guy dying. This was the other one.
This was the one about the guy who is forced to join the Russians. He's a rebel against the Russians, but he's forced to join them to save his family.
Yeah. Well, hey, maybe that means she was forced to go to Lumen for some reason. We don't know yet. Yeah. I just wanted to think that.
And two thistles, one beautiful, one crushed. It's duality.
It is. He is right. You are right. And hey, hi, AA. Sorry, no. Tomorrow is Yellow Jackets, but please stay. Talk about Severance. And David says that those look like magic mushrooms. They kind of do. I don't know. To me, they look like kings on cards, like playing cards.
To me, they look like, so there's a chair blocking them. They could be like pepper mills.
Whatever they are, but I mean, they look like, this to me looks like a king, like the beard and like the crown.
It could be some type of, I mean, they're tchotchkes.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It
could be the salt and pepper shakers on the table.
Yeah, I was wondering what they were, because it's interesting looking. All right, so Gemma wakes up in her room again, and she uses her Lumen branded things.
Yeah.
So teeth stuff, that kind of thing. She brushes her teeth, picks her teeth, are Lumen branded products. And she fixes her bed. Oh, I just now noticed those drawings. A flower. I don't think that's a thistle, but interesting.
Yeah,
that she's
somebody
small.
commented earlier in the chat that like her room is so sterile and she had to like do her own drawings in order to decorate the place.
Yeah, interesting. So where'd I go? Okay, she opens the closet, and this time it is a blue suit, and then it shows her coming out before she's severed, and then I'm clicking on the wrong one again.
I'm just going to turn my camera off for a second while I do something.
Okay. And she wakes up. Her innie wakes up, and she is on a plane with turbulence. It seems like the plane may or may not be crashing. And the flight attendant is Dr. Maurer again. And he gives her food. But I don't know. I tried to get a picture. She could tell it was him. He really couldn't. But there's where she's doing the
go back
yoga pose.
So someone commented, I forget who, that this looks like it's the 70s. I thought it looked like it was the 80s. I don't know why they would like go to the trouble of making the severed personality be from the 80s and look like this is just weird, right?
It is. It's very weird. Did we hit
that luggage? See that luggage in the overhead bin? That's like an old-timey suitcase, right?
It is. It is. We did skip a couple things. I wondered if we were. We skipped a couple of Justin's comments here that we had started and didn't come back to. The Chikhai Bardo, how does it relate to themes of death and transition into the story? Well, we talked about what it meant, I guess, already. So, but let's see. What meaning do the cards plus the one depicting that have in Gemma's storyline? How does the nonlinear storytelling affect the way the audience see Mark and her relationship? I think the nonlinear part of it made a lot of it confusing. That's my opinion.
But the flashbacks are linear, going through their relationship.
Well, but yes, the flashbacks themselves are linear. But like going, I'm assuming he means like going between the flashbacks and the flashbacks between their life and the flashbacks of Gemma in Lumen, because those aren't concurrent. That's the flashbacks. At least we're assuming they're not. That's where I was confused. But if we think that Gemma was kidnapped after they faked her death, then they're definitely not concurrent. They can't be.
Yeah, I mean these scenes on the severed floor could just be the last couple days. Yeah. Or the same day, just the day. They could be simultaneous with Devin visiting Mark's house.
That they could be. But I'm saying like when we're seeing the flashbacks of Mark and Gemma, I don't think that that's happening while she's at the Lumen. We're saying we think Lumen was after, not.
This is how she gets. Yeah.
Okay. All righty. Oops. All right. Okay. And I think the rest, the airline is like the 70s. Just me had said that. You had started.
I don't know. I don't understand the purpose of that at all. Really.
I don't either.
All right. And they're putting her through a terribly frightening experience, right? You're thinking the plane is going to crash. Or I don't know what the point is, because
it is lost.
Any plane that has the slightest turbulence, they do not serve. They're like, we're going to delay the meal service until the turbulence is over, right?
I know.
They would
this whole scene is bizarre. Let's be honest. The whole scene's weird.
It is. And again, I just wonder what the purpose is. Like, I understand the purpose of like causing her pain and seeing if she remembers it. If they're trying to cause fear, when you they could heighten up the fear in the scene by saying like, "Oh, we're gonna crash," right?
Yeah.
Like, this is the most confusing room to me, actually. That they're gonna send her every day to go through terrible turbulence, with an almost clownish scene happens where he flies up in the air and lands back down and is still going to try to continue to serve food, right? Like it's
just very bizarre.
It's unrealistic. I don't know if anybody has an idea of what's going on here, but I do not.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Wait, I didn't mean to put that up right now.
I was gonna say somebody was saying, oh, Mickey. She meant about the other room, I think, but she knows he's in those rooms in costume.
Oh, so Mickey's referring to
the doctor outfit, I guess.
Doctor, and her saying she doesn't even remember anything. And I thought maybe she was lying and that she remembers stuff.
And she's saying maybe she just knows that he goes into the rooms too. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I think we're
Michael also says about that machine. How does her chip not get magnetized? I don't know. Maybe it's not made out of magnetic material. Okay. Let's see now. Where are we? So yes, I agree. This whole scene is very bizarre. There she's doing yoga. And then Drummond and Dr. Mao are talking again. They're looking at Cold Harbor. And Drummond says that Mark is stuck at 96% on Cold Harbor and that the nosebleed set them back. And the nosebleed was actually when they went and had sex that day, right? I forget why he was bleeding. I guess he just had a nosebleed. I can't remember. But that was whenever they were going into that office. Let's see. Drummond tells Maurer that when Mark's done with that file, he's going to have to say goodbye to Gemma. And he says he's aware. And you're right. They do both say fork here. So I have to question, does Cold Harbor mean that the experiment's over, or does it mean that she's going to die?
Well, I took it to mean they're going to kill her.
Yeah, I do too. I just was asking kind of what you thought.
I mean, they can't let her go home. They can't let her go home because it's Gemma in there. They can't let her get out and be like, oh my God, they were torturing me against my will for like 2 years, right?
Yeah.
They can't let her go. I thought they were going to kill her when it's over.
I definitely think that is a possibility. And I was going to say, we've been going 2 hours. So thank you if you are still with us. And if you haven't, please make sure that you like the video and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget, you can find our recent Severance interviews under the live tab. We have with the performers that played Keir and Natalie. They're both up under the live tab. Corbin says, had a dark thought Cold Harbor could be her reliving the miscarriage.
Oh my God.
That would suck. That would be really bad. That's not good. I hope not.
Yeah. Or reliving it in some way, like maybe, you couldn't reenact that exact scene.
I was going to say, I don't think
telling her she's miscarried, her being the doctor, telling reliving the miscarriage, reliving the fertility struggle, that kind of thing. That would be a terrible, terrible torture to put her through.
It would. Okay, he had a comment. Whoops.
Wait.
Comment before that. I hope I didn't click off the wrong one about trying to figure out what Cold Harbor was, but that's kind of the same thing. Let's see. That's about the testing floor.
Yeah. I've been de-starring them as we go through them.
Okay. I might have accidentally hit one. I hope not. What does Cold Harbor MDR file represent, and why is Mark's progress on it so significantly? How does the revelation that other team monitors MDR change our understanding of Lumen's operations? So that's partially from now, partially from before. So what does Cold Harbor represent? I mean, we don't know, but it does seem like it's the end of whatever experiment they're running and that they will kill her, like we just said. Why is his progress on it so significant? I don't know, other than the fact that I think that the two of them together is what's significant, since they're both severed and they're trying to see if they recognize each other, that type of thing. But the fact that there's a team above them watching them, I don't know. I wish they would have given us more on that. I really do.
I mean, this revelation that there's another team, it just made it all so much more like another aspect of this episode, making everything more sinister than I ever imagined it was going to be, right? Like, I never imagined the testing floor was as horrible as it is, and that these guys are like so many who are watching. I mean,
it confuses me more what it means. Like,
I mean, for me, this didn't change my understanding of Lumen's operations, but it changed my impression or feelings about it, heightened my bad feelings about Lumen.
Yeah, that's fair. Let's see.
This is the scene where Irv's Watcher is gone.
Okay. I might not have taken a picture of them again because I didn't realize it was different.
So this is
later. I just assumed it was the same people. I didn't notice it, so I didn't get their picture.
This is a later point in time.
Got it. Just me. So I don't think this is all one day or 1 week or whatever. Well, I guess it could have been right before and right after. Just me says, I think the chip has capabilities of giving everyone multiple indies. I would definitely agree with that. I mean, I don't see why not. Right?
Yeah. I don't see why not. Yeah. They just haven't done it to everyone. I mean, they're testing it with, maybe that's just what's being, it's among the things that are being tested on the testing floor, right? David, Cold Harbor is not a place in the United States. Like there's no town in the United States named Cold Harbor. It's made up for the show. So I don't know what it doesn't.
Well, no, but it does have something to do with the Civil War, right? I think it's like a battle or something. Let me see.
But there's not any real place called Cold
Harbor.
There's
not a town called that, no. But not all of them are town names. It's the Battle of Cold Harbor that was fought during the Civil War. So it's the name of a battle. It's not the name of a town. Or, like you said, maybe it's the made-up name of a town.
Yeah, it's 1864, so it's getting close, late in the war. It's one of the last battles of
excuse me. Yeah. All right.
It's a terrible battle where the Confederacy crushed the Union in that battle, according to the internet. It's not one of the big battles that we learn about in U.S. history.
Right.
It's not about Antietam and Little Bighorn. No, Little Bighorn was Custer. We learn about certain battles, but that is not one that is taught in our history classes. Or not mine. Maybe in college.
Well, I was going to say, I am horrible at history and what names of battles are and stuff, so I would have had to Google it regardless. So
in college, I took a course about the Civil War, and Cold Harbor is never mentioned in that course that I took. So,
well, that makes sense. Yeah, it's probably more.
So it's a
more obscure,
not a highlight of our Civil War.
Yeah. Let's see. Michael says, I think they're testing her through different traumas to see if her outie remembers it because they're developing a household version to get you through things like fear or flying or dentist. That's an interesting take. Seems like his progress unlocks the rooms. That's also something I didn't think of. Yeah, maybe she can't move on until he's finished that file or something. Interesting.
Yeah. I like that idea. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, I do too. An idea that you would use it to get through things that you have fear of. See, I tend to think it's more sinister and that they're, want it to force people to do things they don't want to do. I'm seeing kind of the other dark side of that, but that's definitely a possibility.
So, yeah, and coming back to Cold,
and I unstarred it before I took it off the screen, so now I can't find it.
There's a lot of questions about Cold Harbor going on in the chat. Again, I didn't learn about it in college, but according to Wikipedia, which take it for what it is, that's not a great source, but it was the final. It was Robert E. Lee's final victory during the war. Lee is from the Confederacy. They eventually lose the war. It was the last victory that they had. So maybe that's kind of fitting that it's the last room the last file that needs to be completed.
Yeah, that's true. It could just represent that.
But they end up losing the war, right? Lee wins the battle, but loses the war.
Yeah, true. Bill Chill says the Cold Harbor first major battle fought near Mechanicsville, Virginia. So there's the dates.
It also,
David saying, was it a turning point or something?
No, but in the Union's futile assault, they lost over 10,000 men over 12. The losses to the Union they lose over 10,000 men, right? So it's a huge bloodbath.
Right. It could mean just final victory, final room. Yeah.
So I mean, this is kind of ominous that it's a bloodbath. Cold Harbor was Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's how it could definitely connect. Now, Michael had said, one of them was starred here somewhere, was said about Irving, about his watcher being gone, so it had to take place over a period of time, which is true. But it says, he also says what it tells us is that the timeline isn't matching up with Mark's timeline, because obviously Mark was on the retreat with Irv, but also why is Looming not suspicious of Mark missing from work? Now? You mean now?
He called in. I mean, because at some point he called in sick.
Yeah, I don't think Mark's been gone that many days. I think he's just, I don't think he's been gone that long. That would be my answer. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't know. I got distracted by this Cold Harbor.
Yeah, I know. We both did. Wait, where's the? I lost the picture.
Here's a Civil War scholar who says Cold Harbor is a symbol of futility, of mule-headed futility. Like Grant knew that that he was going to lose. 7,000 men were killed in less than half an hour. And it was a terribly lopsided battle, and it's a symbol of futility. Wow, there's so much going on here about Cold Harbor. We have to have a whole separate show about Cold Harbor, okay?
Yeah, we need to make a whole video about that. So now we have this food.
Oh, maybe they're not. Okay. Why they're not suspicious? Mark's not at work right now. Maybe it's the weekend.
Yeah, it could be. That's why I said I don't think he's been gone that many days, but yeah, it could be the weekend as well.
Could be the weekend. Maybe they're not, because it's the weekend. Because he didn't wake up to call him sick, and Ragabi didn't call him sick. But maybe it's the weekend.
Yeah, or he had some vacation days and went on the internet and took his. I mean, maybe like he scheduled him through the internet. Who knows? But anyway, so Gemma opens the drawer and you see these drops, which this makes me think of something like the Jetsons or something. They're like these packaged, I don't know, frozen maybe foods. They're all labeled as different.
I think they're freeze dried.
Freeze dried, yeah. But they look very futuristic, don't they?
Yeah.
And she takes, I don't know what she takes from that one. She takes the crispy chip wheel, whatever that is. But like one's like apple blossom, flaky dinner roll. Yeah, I don't know. They're like you said, probably freeze dried. But she takes these out. Macerated candied carrots, rendered marrow. Ew. So she takes them and she boils them in water, and that's how you cook them. And then she takes out. She cooks them and cooks the garnishes, I guess. So yeah, it doesn't look very appetizing. They look like little pieces of cakes, don't they? Like tiny cakes.
Yeah, they're kind of like protein bars, and I guess they're flavored. It reminded me a little bit of like Willy Wonka had that chewing gum that tasted like a full like 4-course dinner, right?
Yeah,
Willy Wonka movie.
Yeah, Michael says everything about the food reminds me of a spaceship. Yeah, it definitely seems very futuristic.
Did you ever eat that freeze-dried ice cream that they supposedly send up to the astronauts?
If you mean the little balls, I like that freeze-dried ice cream. That's not the same. That's not the astronaut ice cream though. That's just frozen. That's just frozen ice cream that you could get like that.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, she boils them, cooks them, adds the garnishes. Anyway, it's odd. Then that looks more like a flower, but I mean, some flowers are edible, so they could actually just be flowers. Okay, so she's reading, and then they're showing them watching again, and Drummond asks him why he's wearing that ugly Christmas sweater.
So it appears that he drops by like every time before she goes to the room. He's wearing a Christmas sweater. We're going to see him in the Christmas room. We previously saw him in a jumpsuit, and then we saw her in her athletic wear, right? Like he appears to be like stopping in before each.
You mean stopping into Drummond, not stopping in her.
Stopping into this monitoring room with Drummond before he goes on to like whatever.
Yeah. So he comments on his Christmas sweater.
Yeah, and
but you're right. There is an empty seat, so I did take a picture. There you go. There's the empty seat. All right. So Gemma is putting on this wedding ring, and before she actually gets in the room, is when we hear the voiceover start. And I'm going to turn my camera off while I stretch. My legs are hurting. Wow. Wait.
And this has a real 50s kind of vibe. This
there we go. Yes, it does. It does definitely. But she's dressed in, she's in a dressing gown. She's got her hair. See, I think some of them are wigs because her hair looks longer and shorter, unless it's just the way it's curled. I don't know. But she comes out to see the nurse again, and she takes her to the room. And I think that was the radio, I think, that was playing. I don't know. Took a picture of it. There's a goat. There's a goat. There's the goat. What is that next? Is that the marker or the pen?
That's the degrouter that they.
Oh, the degrouter. I see. Okay.
Degrouter. That's just thanking them for. I don't know what a degrouter looks like, but I
don't know what that is. But anyway, it's in a voiceover, and she's thanking Mr. Tisdale for the thoughtful Christmas gift that he sent her and her husband. So that guy is playing her husband. And she says they never owned an electric grouter, and they look forward to the happy memories it'll provide. And the cards have the goat, which you can see. Where'd it go? I lost where it's at. It's clear that her hand's hurting, and she's struggling as she's writing. It's becoming illegible. Also, she's using like a calligraphy type pen or an old style.
But I don't know when ballpoint pens were invented. This seems to be 50s. It could be 40s. I don't really know. But
I don't know.
Again, to be set in it appears again to be set in a timeline that like it's anachronistic. Like, why do these different rooms appear to be set at different times? I don't understand that. I also thought, I haven't been paying attention, but her writing is so bad. I thought, is Gemma right-handed and they're forcing her to write?
That's what I was going to say to you. It looks like it because I noticed she was writing with her left hand, but I more noticed that because I'm left-handed. So when an actor writes with left hand, I tend to notice it. But yeah, it almost looks like it's not just that it's hard, legible because she's been writing so long, but it does look like perhaps she's right-handed and they're forcing her to use her left hand, which is really weird.
And I didn't pay enough attention.
Right-handed. I assume that you mean in real life she's right-handed. She's being trained to use her left hand. Yeah, they agree with me, but why? I have to question why. Like, and other than I guess to be awful.
Yeah.
That. I don't know. I know a long time ago, and this is the thing that's odd, especially with the anachronistic stuff. I know that a long time ago, if you were left-handed, they made you right-handed. And
my mom
might have been left-handed, she thinks.
My father is left-handed, and he writes with his right hand because in Catholic school in the 1940s, my dad was born in the 30s. In Catholic school in the 30s and 40s, he was forced to learn to write with his right hand. It's the only thing he does with his right hand is write. Everything else, he's left-handed.
Yeah, because that's why my mom said that she might have been, should have been left-handed, because she said they used to put rubber bands on their hands to make them write, because she holds her pencil weird. And it might be kind of the same thing, because I'm ambidextrous, so I don't know, maybe she would have written with her left hand, but that's so weird. That's why it's odd they're making her write with her left hand. Other than just to be cruel, I don't get the point.
I don't either, because she's not good at it, right?
No,
it's not so my dad eventually, after the priest hitting his hand with a ruler enough times, my dad has really excellent handwriting with his right hand now, right?
Yeah, so you can't train yourself.
This is
some people write with both hands.
Yeah, I think it's part of the unpleasantness. It makes her probably, if I had to write with my left hand, it would sure get tired faster and hurt a lot more than if I had to write 100 thank you notes with my right hand, right? I think it's just to be awful. I think it's about stress, pain, discomfort, right?
Yeah, it also does explain why her hand's covered in ink too. I have to say that is the one thing I have always hated about being left-handed. Like I said, I'm ambidextrous about other things. I do only write with my left hand, but because you the way your hand smears across, or at least mine does, the paper, because you write the other direction, like your bottom of your hand gets covered in ink. Can you hear me? Okay, I'm walking around. And stretching my...
It's too bad, Jamie, that you don't write Arabic, which goes right to left, right? And then your hand.
That would fix the thing. I'll tell you. You want to hear a weird little anecdote, is that I have had a hard time with computer drawing, because I grew up using my mouse with my right hand, because when I was in school, there weren't left-handed mouses back then. You used a right-handed mouse.
Yeah.
So I grew, and since I did graphic design and drawing with the mouse and everything since I was pretty young, might have even been elementary school, I don't know. But anyway, I can't use it with my left hand. So the oddest thing I've had trouble with is using a drawing tablet on the computer, because my brain would not rewire right, because I draw with my left hand when I use a pen or a pencil, and I draw with my right hand when I use a mouse. So it was the hardest thing to start using a drawing tablet. I just, for the longest time, could not do it. And because I kept wanting to do it backwards, it was weird. But anyway, I can now, but it took like years of doing it for me to feel comfortable with it. It's very strange.
I'm left-handed, and it should be easier to see where you're writing left to right, because you can see the blank space, whereas a righty, I'm covering up the space I'm writing into.
Yeah, true.
I guess that's what Bill.
Yeah, I still prefer to do it the other way, because I don't like the ink all over my hands. That's why I always hated using pencils. I would tend to use a pen instead of a pencil because of all the lead you get all over your hand.
Yeah. So this, at the end of the scene, is where we get that flash that you're gonna talk about.
Yep. Oh, I was going to say, though, it's still funny, though, because I do, even though I can actually use a mouse and my drawing tablet at the same time, because I use the mouse with my right hand. Yeah. I can do it at the same time. That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did have some. Michael says, I think the Christmas tree is decorated similar to Mark and Gemma's tree. It might be. Yeah. I didn't pay that much attention to it, but there's some other things on the tree. I was going to go back. Yeah. Oh, okay. We said the same thing before.
Yeah. Michael had said that, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, she's writing. There's the tree. When I think the thing with their tree, I think, was a while ago. But yeah, that is definitely not looking to be normal time. Is that a hair dryer? That is a hair dryer.
It does look like well, maybe she got it for Christmas.
Maybe. It looks like some kind of exercise equipment in a hair dryer, and it's all the same color.
Yeah.
Sorry. But it is. Okay. So, hold on a second.
Oh, yeah, you're getting to the creepy part now.
Yeah. I'll turn my camera back on. All right. Let's see. I lost where I was at, though. Okay, so she doesn't want to keep writing. He tells her that she had to finish it. And he says that it's Christmas. It has a funny way of coming back around each year. And she says it's always Christmas. Because, yeah, I mean, that's her innie. Is that what you were saying? Or you mean the
Yeah, I mean, there's so much about this that's creepy and disturbing. I don't have the exact, I mean, I can pull it up. I have this scene on my TV right now. But, like, she says she doesn't write anymore. He says, I told you, you're finished. Like, there was this air of like
he's telling her what to do. Yeah.
Air of like her husband forcing her to do something, telling her what to do. And then like it very condescendingly be like, oh, Christmas comes around again, right? It was all very creepy and like,
yep. Did you notice too, the song
it was kind of misogynistic, I felt, right?
It was very much. But also the song playing is Baby It's Cold Outside, which obviously there's been a lot of bad things written about them trying to change it and stuff because it's very coercive type of thing. So I think it matches very well.
I mean, I think the point of that song, the song's about a woman who wants to leave and a man who won't let her leave, who doesn't want her to leave, right? And like I thought it spoke so much to Gemma wanting to get out of there and can't get out of there.
Yeah, that's why I said it matches perfectly. Yeah. But I think the takeaway at the end, he still looks a lot like Ben Stiller.
He looks a lot like Ben Stiller in this.
I wonder if that's intentional. But he tells her when they're leaving, he says that he loves her and she won't say it back, and he kind of forces her to say it back, and she says it kind of sarcastic. But that's where I said that I think that parallels that scene earlier with Mark not saying he loves her, but he does love her, and he just was not paying attention and busy. But yeah,
she doesn't love him, and you can't make an innie feel love just because someone says I love you, right? Like she has no reason. Like she says it's always Christmas. We don't really know, but I assume every time she goes into this room, the same thing plays out, that she has to write thank you notes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong. I did get the feeling a little bit. I was torn about whether when she hesitates and then she says, I love you too, in like a very smirky kind of way, is that Gemma, is Gemma remembering, is Gemma playing in these scenes that she doesn't remember? But maybe it's just that she doesn't really, you can't like whip love out of nowhere, right? And you can make her believe that this is her husband, but you can't make her feel a feeling that doesn't exist. Right?
I mean, is that
off script? Or is he off script because he actually does? We know he's a creeper and he does love her, right? And he thinks she likes him. And did he does he go off script saying that to try to get her to say it? Like, is it like creepy on a higher level that he's saying this to her?
Yeah, because he says, did any of the rooms make her feel something that Mark never did, or something like that? Like he actually expected her to say yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, she comes back out. Oh, there's that. Okay. Now this is where the flash is. I think that might be the same image of her on the steps that we see later, but it's only 1 frame long. So I'm not sure what's up with the flashes or what the point is, but they're there. So
yeah, can you go back to? Can you shrink it?
What do you mean?
She's in the hallway.
Yeah, that I mean that's the whole picture. There is no more. But yeah, it's almost like she's captured. You know, if you like the way the circle is around it, the way the lighting is.
Well, it's a memory because her hair is long, like it is in much of the flashback of her relationship with Mark, right? Mm-hmm. And if you zoom, can you zoom again?
Yeah, well, this is another picture, but yeah.
Is she wearing a bathrobe?
Let me.
No, it looks like a dress. That looks like a dress, right?
Yeah, I think it's a dress. Yeah.
And her hair's long.
Yeah, it does look like a memory. I said I think it might be when she's sitting on the stairs. When she's upset later, sitting on the stairs.
Yeah, I mean, does that mean that the severed personality is the memory, her memories of Gemma are bleeding through? Is she reintegrating a little bit, or does she not, like, I don't know, like maybe part of the experiment is like, how many times can you sever a mind before it ceases to work anymore? And like the real, right?
Yeah, you got to wonder.
Like, okay, so like if I cut a piece of fruit or a loaf of bread, the more slices I cut it into, the thinner each slice has to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you sever too many times, do the severed personalities become unstable?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would like to know the answer to. I just want to put up Mickey's comment we had skipped before, but I'm not sure where this scene was, but it's interesting. She says that Devin mentions Mark's therapist with the weird mustache, that maybe he's the therapist and he's collecting notes on Gemma to recreate the rooms of woe and dread, or these patterns. That is very interesting. I don't know where she says that, though. I'm curious where she had said that.
I know, that's why I tabled it to not
remember it. Yeah. But yeah, that would be really interesting. And like maybe he mentioned she doesn't like to write thank you cards and whatever. And I think this other comment she had before, I think she's loyal. I think that was about Cobel.
Yeah, that's why I tabled that also. So
no, okay. Because we'll go back to it.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see. So she comes out, she's rubbing her hand. She says her hand hurts. Mm-hmm. Then she comes back in the room and the music playing is I'll Be Seeing You. I don't know if that's like maybe foreshadowing something or if there's other meaning to it. I think the song says something like, I'm looking at the moon, but I'm seeing you. So I don't know. It might just be that she's kind of pining for Mark. I don't know that it has meaning or not. But I do like how the knobs on this thing kind of look like little lumen drops, don't they?
Well, they kind of do.
I mean, I doubt that it was made for that. They probably just found one and thought, oh, that's cool. They look like lumen drops. Let's use that one. That looks cool.
I'll Be Seeing You is actually a World War II song, right? I think it's about a couple that is separated by the war.
Yeah. So that's why I said, does that foreshadow that she's going to be seeing him, or just that she wants to see him? We're getting more live comments. I had the tab open. Let's see. Maybe Michael says, maybe these are all Mark's memories, and Innie is on the couch learning all of Mark's memories. That would be cool.
Yeah, except we had that scene where Gemma's in the bathroom by herself, and then Mark walks. Mark can't have a memory of Gemma being in a room by herself. Right? When she has the miscarriage, she's in the bathroom by herself.
Yeah, that's what I had mentioned.
Mark, for an extended minute or two, and then Mark enters, and he can't have a memory of
something. Like I said, unless it's just a storytelling device and it isn't really relevant. The truth is, I don't think it matters whose memories they are, because I kind of wondered about that, and then the more I thought about it, realized it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mark can't have a memory that only happened to Gemma. I mean, whether that's a mistake or you're not supposed to think about that, I don't know, but it wouldn't be possible.
Yeah.
So let's see. So she starts remembering. Yeah. See, isn't that the same dress?
It was just flipped. It was just flipped in the other spot. Yeah.
Which was interesting because of the whole duality. I didn't even think about it being flipped. I mean, it could have just been flipped because they liked the way it looked flipped, but it also could have been flipped on purpose.
Well,
it went dark. It must have been just the way they had it lit.
Yeah.
But she's upset. I assume that this was like before or after that she was by herself off upset. But this is where he's building the crib.
Well, he's
not going well, and he's getting pissed. Sorry, what?
Go ahead. Yeah.
I don't know what that was from. I don't know what exactly that was. I wasn't sure. I took the picture and then I was like, what is that?
I believe that's his record player, which is playing I'll Be Seeing You as he tries to do this.
Oh, so maybe that's why she's remembering. Okay. So this is Christmas. The tree looks different because it looked, although they might be the same ornaments, because they looked like little Christmas trees to me before, but it would make sense if they were bells and they just looked like Christmas trees. But there's not as much tinsel and stuff. It does look different. It looks like they're having this nice cuddle, but when it shows her face, she looks like she's crying to me, or had been crying, and I didn't get a picture of it.
Well, she's very sad and frustrated with her struggle, and her husband is not in the same place she is.
Yeah. But she's remembering it as she's eating this pie. I was trying to figure out what the heck that is. It's some kind of fruit or something. I don't know what it is.
I think it's key lime pie, and that's a slice of lime.
Key lime. Oh, okay. I've never had key lime pie, so I don't know what it's like. Limes are orange on the inside?
It's kind of greenish yellow on the inside.
Okay.
I mean, it's clearly a green rind. I think it's.
Well, I see the green rind, but it looks orangey. That's why I wasn't sure what it was.
You've got one frame out of whatever it was.
It doesn't matter. I just wondered. That was just my curiosity. I didn't mean that it had meaning. Okay. So she doesn't seem to like the pie. Okay. So there's like a monitor for her to see who's at the door. I don't know why it says 7:30. I guess that's the time. Again, it's like analog. But she lets him in.
Actually, go to the next shot. I don't know if you can see it. I think there's a little plant on her desk there behind her.
Wait,
where? Go forward. Here, where Gemma's arm is at the desk, I think there's a plant there.
There is a plant.
Succulent. It's a succulent.
Yeah, sort of a plant. I mean, it's a plant, but it's not like a fancy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a fancy plant.
Yeah.
Let's see. So she lets him in. He asks how she's feeling. She says her hand hurts. He asks which room. Allentown. She says she wants to go home, and that's when he turns off the music. Why he turned off the music, I don't know. unless it was just about the memory. But he tells her their husband remarried last year and has a daughter now. She says she doesn't believe him. And he says she's been gone a long time and he's moved on. And that's when he says, which is really creepy, maybe you've moved on too in one of the rooms. What do you think? Maybe you feel yourself gravitating towards one room or another, and maybe feel things behind one of those doors she didn't feel with Mark, and maybe he's seen it. Now that is creepy. And
it's super creepy, right? Like,
yeah.
it's super creepy, and yet it's what Mark S has done. Mark's innie like moved on with Helly. He says like maybe he's moved on and
don't say that, because now you're giving me a bad vibe, because now I'm thinking, what if he did have a daughter or is going to have a daughter? Maybe he go back to
I don't know about that, but this
I know.
it's just so creepy and like rapey when he says like maybe you've had a relationship with somebody else, maybe you've and he's like implying that this is going on, and then he says maybe he's seen it, as though they videotaped it and showed it to Mark. That's super creepy also. And this whole thing icks me out.
I took that.
Wait. Let me just complete my thought here. It icks me out, this idea that, and she doesn't believe it at all, that she would do that while she's an innie, and yet it doesn't but that's what Mark S has done, right? Mark S doesn't have any memory of Gemma, and even though he's like drawn to Miss Casey, he is into Helly and had sex with her, right? This is just such a loaded scene on so many levels.
Yeah. Now, I didn't take that to mean that at all. I mean, now that you said that, I see that, but I took that completely the opposite. I took that he's saying maybe you've moved on too, that he's saying you're falling in love with somebody in these other realities, and I've seen it, meaning he's saying she's in love with him.
Yes, because he's a super stalker creeper.
Yeah, but I mean, I didn't think he was talking about Mark. I think he's talking about.
I don't think he was talking about Mark, but I think there's a layer of subtext here. Like, I think he's talking.
I thought you were saying that's what you thought.
I think he's talking about himself, but from a storytelling,
you're saying technically Mark did the same thing. Yeah, I see.
It's what's happening that Gemma's not aware of, right? Like, I mean, yeah.
Like I said, just so that doesn't mean Mark S is going to have a daughter. But I know what you mean.
Yeah.
And yet, like also, he said Dr. Maurer is courting her with a plant. Maybe that plant was from him.
But so I'm not really sure about this, this level of cruelty to say to her, like, Mark has moved on, he's got a wife, blah, 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 he's got a kid, all this. It's very cruel. I figure that everything has to be videotaped and recorded. He has to know that the powers that be are going to know what he's saying to her. So is it part of the script to make her think that Mark has moved on to try to control her and get her to stay? Or is he going rogue now because of his attraction to her?
Yeah, and he wants her to forget about Mark.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, it's very creepy, but this is where I had wondered, and I told you earlier that I wondered if it was that it was partially voluntary and then whenever she started causing problems and is like, I want to leave, that's when they faked her death. But I agree with what you said earlier. It wouldn't make sense that she could still be going to work and everything else. So I think you're probably right with that. But until you said that, I had kind of thought maybe that this is where the whole faked her death thing happened. But I think it happened before this. Okay. So where'd we go? Okay, so he picks up the book after this, which is again Death of Ivan Ilyich. Mm-hmm. And he says, let me guess, he dies at the end. Which I hope that's not necessarily foreshadowing anything, unless it means him. I don't know.
I bet that joke has been made in every
probably
Russian literature class, and everybody thinks that they made that joke up.
That's probably a good point. Or that is a good point. So she hits him over the head with the chair, knocks him out, takes his key card, and runs out into the hallway. She doesn't know which way to go. And this is where I said I think it's black because the lights are out.
That's exactly how the lights work in my storage unit.
Yeah,
Storage space, they light up as I walk down the hall.
Right. But they kind of implied it was a black hallway until now, and I don't think it's actually a black hallway. But anyway, she thinks she gets out.
I never thought the hallway was painted black. I always assumed that hallway was dark.
Okay, see, I thought maybe it was like a black hallway.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah, well, the reason partially why I thought that is that the hallway going to the break room actually is darker. Because I mentioned that before, like, I don't think it's the same hallway, but that is like the walls were darker. So I always assumed that since he painted it that way, that it was supposed to be the walls were dark. But maybe not, I don't know. But either way, at this point, I don't think that's the case. So how horrible. Yeah, you can't hide in rooms or the any would take over. This is, well, they're also locked by DNA.
Yeah, but she has his key card. She can open any door.
Well, yeah, but the woman had to prick her finger to get in. But yeah, you turn into the any. So the irony and the awfulness of this is that she gets out with the elevator, and this is where too, I think the testing floor only takes you up. That's why we always see the down arrow, because it goes down to the testing floor. I mean, she gets in the elevator and gets away from the testing floor, and it takes her to the severed floor, and she turns into Miss Casey, so she can't escape.
So I mean, you think she just got in the wrong elevator, because there has to be another elevator, because like Nurse Ratched doesn't only go between the testing floor and the severed floor. Like and we've seen from the severed floor, there's an elevator that goes all the way up so they can go home at night, right?
Yeah, so but the way that I look at it is the people that go up and down aren't severed. I think that when you get in that elevator and you go up, I think it automatically severs you because they're severed. So I think like probably because the fact that we always see the down arrow and no up arrow. Now I've said before, obviously an elevator has to go up. To me, seeing a down arrow means that they're implying like it's the testing floor. You have to go down to the testing floor, but clearly it goes back up. I think that probably the severed floor is in between it. So if you're severed, there's no way out because you turn into your innie when you go back up. I mean, the nurse, it wouldn't matter because the nurse isn't severed.
We assume, yeah.
Well, I'm assuming.
Right? Like
James says, it's a testing floor like Hotel California, but you can check out, but you can never leave. Or you can check in, but you can't leave. Yeah. I mean, that's why I said I don't think there's any way for her to get out on her own because she turned into
I think they're going to kill her but they'll never let her leave. They have to kill her. You can't let her leave because she'll tell everyone, right?
Right, but I'm just saying physically, I don't think she can leave because she tried. That's what happened.
She can leave because she got in. I mean, there's a way out.
Well, yeah, but she probably came in before she was severed, though. She probably came in, had the procedure, and then.
I mean, whatever you do, they can do a glass. I mean, if she could do a Glasgow block, she could get out, right?
Yeah, but she'd have to figure out how to do that.
I'm just saying there's a way out. So I hear your argument. It makes a lot of sense. I'm not sure I'm convinced that, but you make a lot of sense right now.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying probably that it would make sense for them to have it set up that way so they couldn't escape.
I'm with Michael that there's 2 elevators.
Well, there could just be 2 elevators too.
We also know there's a staircase, right? We've seen people try to go up and down the staircase.
And that was the other thing. I think it was you I was talking to about this, wasn't it? I get the idea with the staircase that they can't escape from the staircase because when they go out into the stairwell, their outie sends them back in, right? That was why they couldn't. So so technically, if she can get out into a staircase, I assume that since that's her outie, she could, but I don't know.
Yeah. Michael thinks there's 1 elevator that just goes between ground level to the severed floor and 1 that goes up and down from the severed floor to the testing floor. That is they're taking a different elevator to go home at night.
And maybe that's part of why it's called the export hall or something. Who knows? I don't know. But yeah, you could be right. Could be right. Okay, so this is where I commented he used a typewriter and he said not to talk about the technology. So we'll move on from that.
Yeah, I just
feel like me telling you not to talk about the fact that they still have gasoline in Walking Dead.
Yes.
We have this conversation. I'm just like, just move on, Jamie. So this is where Gemma's like, are you sure you don't want to come? We're going to play charades. It'll only be like 20 minutes. or she could stay home. And he's like, no, you should go. And she asked if he got the Denali thing she sent, and I meant to look up what the heck that was. I'm assuming that's another author or something.
Oh no, Denali is a national park. Denali National Park is so Trump just tried to. So it used to be called Mount McKinley. Then we went back to the. We went back to the indigenous name Denali, and now Trump just switched it back to Mount McKinley because everything named after white people.
Okay, I didn't realize it was called Denali.
So I assume they're going to climb Denali. They had talked about going on a climbing trip with Devin and Rick.
And I had said about the book talking about the trip that might have maybe was.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that never happened, so that can't be it. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, so she asked if he got it. He says he'll look into it, and this is where she said he'll be back at 10, and she loves him. And this is what I was talking about, where he doesn't answer her at first, and he basically isn't paying attention. But he does say, he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I love you, I wasn't listening, or something like that. Yeah. And this is where I wish we could, this is where I need to like try to get ultra video to try to get high resolution copies, see if you can read book titles and things.
Oh, you want me to step over to my TV?
Yeah, can you read it? No, I'm just thinking, I'm sure Scarlett went through to look at all the book titles. She does that with From. Yeah, I don't know. That one kind of looks like a computer book I have, the red and white one. I don't know. You disappeared.
They seem to be a lot of like history books, which makes sense because they both teach history. Or yes. She teaches literature. He teaches his. He's in his office and he teaches history, right?
Well, I think that might be his office anyway.
Seem to be history books largely.
Yeah. All right. So she comes out on the severed floor, and Milchick's there.
Oh my God.
And now I don't know if this is he's wearing that outfit to kind of tell us the time this takes place. I don't know, but he's in
as though he's coming or going from work. He's wearing his street.
Oh, well, he could just be coming over from work. That's true. But he says, he calls her Miss Casey, and she asks what's happening, and he says that her outie came in for a public art exhibition and found herself in the wrong elevator. And she asks how long she's been gone, I assume is what she's going to say. So she knows it's been a while since she's been Miss Casey, but he won't answer her. He just tells her to go back, and she listens because she's a very docile innie, I would say. But she goes back in the elevator. Poor thing is like has no escape.
So I feel like that scene showed us that a specific innie was activated, right? The innie that has been on the severed floor. I mean, we think that's the severed. We don't really know that's the severed floor. And by the way, Jamie,
I'm assuming that because we were having this discussion. I think she went in the elevator up to the severed floor, and that's why she turned into Gemma. That is my assumption.
Yes, but that means like so the door, depending on where you're like the certain doorways.
Yeah, it's like a barrier that flips you to a specific innie.
Certain doorways are coded to activate certain personalities.
Yes, that's what I think.
And I have a picture, and that, I'm sorry, Jamie, I was talking shit. That hallway is absolutely painted black. That hallway is 100% painted black, for sure.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, this isn't I didn't think was the testing floor, though. This is just dark, so I don't know.
That's like a hallway, like going from... I mean,
maybe that's the one to the break room. I told you it was darker.
So this is making me think, like, maybe Irv was held for a long time on the testing floor, and he
remember things because he's been severed a lot.
And painting this black hallway is reminding him of coming from the severed floor, coming from the testing floor to the severed floor.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's been in that hall, but it's definitely painted black. I don't know what I was talking about.
I don't know. It does look darker. I'm going to put
it on me.
I'm just putting the StreamYard link in there in case somebody does want to call in, because otherwise we'll be waiting till we're at the very end of the episode and then we'll be disconnecting. So if somebody wants to call in, just so if we don't know you, you let us know you're in the chat that you're going to call in before you do. So we know you're not going to just postpone. So let's see. I lost my picture. But yes, you're right. It does seem quite black. So meanwhile, Mark hears cars outside.
Oh God, this was terrible.
Yeah, and he kind of knew what was coming. And then this is where Gemma wakes up on the back on the floor she was on before, and realizes what's wrong. And it keeps like flipping back and forth between him and her. And she realizes she can't get out, and she starts crying. And I love how it like superimposed the two together, like with the back of his head. It's hard to tell in the picture that that's what that is, but that's the back of his head and her in the elevator, I think.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, I think that's what it had been. But anyway, Gemma knows that she is stuck again. The nurse comes and takes her out. And I don't know, I flipped to that one of the eye. I must have skipped a picture, but the police come basically, and it means that's when they came and told him she was dead. Because he goes to the door and the cops are there. And she cries. So yeah, I didn't take pictures in between, sorry. But Mark wakes up. He's got tears. You can see he's kind of crying. Devin asks him where he went, and he's like having memories of them at work. So he's remembering her, and that's why he's sad. And it shows her eyes again. And yeah, then it goes back to the beginning. That was the end.
Yeah. So we have a couple of like heavy questions that we tabled. So after watching this whole episode, like, what's the purpose of the testing floor? How does it relate to Lumen's overall goals? I mean, we've talked through and around this for the last 4 hours. What the purpose is.
I don't think that's the only purpose, though. I figure there's probably other experiments going on, not just Gemma, but because like I tend to think this whole company isn't just the 4 people and her, you know what I mean? Like there's got to be other things going on.
I mean, I think the purpose is to test the durability of a severed personality and to stress the severed personality to see if it breaks.
Yeah.
But I don't know if everybody is tortured to the degree that Gemma is, but Irving clearly has like strong feelings about the Lumen Corporation. It kind of raises to me, how much does Irv remember? What did Irv go through on the testing floor, if he was indeed there, which we think he was? I think he was. I shouldn't say we think he was. And how much of that does he remember? Any of it, or does it just does he have actual memories, or just a really bad feeling about Lumen that is driving his investigation on the outside?
Or is it because of his investigation he maybe thinks something bad's going on there? Who knows?
But what would spur him to invest? He volunteered to be severed. Everybody volunteers to be severed except Gemma, as far as we know. Maybe Irv didn't volunteer to be severed.
Yeah, maybe he got caught investigating, or maybe it was like an undercover thing, like he got severed so he could investigate.
Maybe,
yeah,
that's possible also.
I don't know. Some people think he's already reintegrated and isn't severed. I don't buy that theory, but I can understand why they might think that.
As for Lumen's overall goals, I forget if it was David or Michael said earlier in our conversation, maybe they're trying to create a household version where you can sever yourself when you go to the dentist, if you have a fear of flying, you have a fear of the dentist, if you have a fear of delivering your own child, of the pain of childbirth, right? That like they're trying to sell a household product, and this is the safety testing.
Yeah. And I said, I kind of see a darker side and think it's probably more likely that they're trying to find a way to control people and force them to do things by severing off another part of them. Like we talk about forced labor and all that kind of thing. I mean, it could be either really, but I more think it's something more nefarious.
Yeah, there's a part of me that wonders how it relates to the cult of Keir and the Egan family's interest in like always passing down the power and their bloodline and things like that.
Is it possible that they're severing? Is it possible the ultimate goal is to be able to sever off somebody's consciousness so they can put in somebody else's consciousness?
I mean, tons of fans have been like jumping around that theory.
Yeah.
Since the beginning, right?
There's lots of things it could be.
Yeah.
All right. And then the other part of that we already answered. Okay.
Yeah, we already talked about Gemma's reaction to Dr. Maurer. So what is Gemma's freak out after returning to the testing floor indicate about her awareness of her dual existence?
She's trapped. Simple.
She knows she's in the Hotel California.
Yes.
And she can never leave, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what if it indicates about her awareness of her dual existence, but
I think it's just her awareness she can't leave.
Her Gemma existence is hell.
Yeah.
She's in hell.
Even though she doesn't remember those hells, she's still stuck there. And she has no life. Basically.
She knows they're unpleasant. She not only has pain, but I feel like she has bad feelings about these rooms, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, no, I totally agree.
How does Rugabi's warning about Cobell suggest deeper conflicts within Lumen's hierarchy?
Well, she suggests that Cobell is loyal to Lumen. And
yes.
I think we're not sure that's the case. I think she's loyal to Kier, but not Lumen. Yeah, I agree with that. I think she's loyal to Kier. I don't know about Lumen. I think that there's a possibility she's trying to undermine Lumen. I think there's a possibility she's trying to just get information. I don't know. It could be a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So with that, we have cleared our current comments. So after watching, the first thing I felt when I watched this ending was like, oh, Mark, the first thing Mark's going to say is like, where's Dr. Rugabi? I have to push this forward, right?
Yeah.
He
and Deborah could be like, oh, I got Miss Cobell instead. That would be great.
Yeah, that would not be great. He relived his entire relationship. So I don't know what else he remembered. And like that process of remembering the relationship with, like, was it Audi Mark remembering? Was it Innie Mark integrating Audi Mark's memory? Like, who's going to wake up, the Innie or the Audi, or a fully reintegrated Mark? Like, I don't know, right?
Yeah,
or
a combination thereof.
Because like and if like, let's say Mark wakes up, he's still severed. If what we saw represented Innie Mark getting the Gemma history, how would that affect how he feels about Helly, right?
Yeah.
Or how does a reintegrated Mark feel about, is he in love with Helly? He was deeply in love with Gemma. How in love is he with Helly? Or is he in lust with her? Or is he just like interested in her? Like, that's not clear either, right?
No, right. It's not.
So I guess I'm not sure who was lying on the couch having that experience and who woke up.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're the one who wants to start at 10 and go for 4 hours.
No, I just start yawning and then I can't. I said before, once I yawn, then I start thinking about yawning and then I can't stop from yawning. It'd make it worse.
I don't know if anybody has any thoughts about who was sleeping and who was dreaming and who was.
Yeah, I think that's a good question. At this point, I had not thought about it. I just assumed it was him remembering, but you're right, it might not be.
Audi Mark, like, dreaming about Gemma. I would presume he had that dream every night, and that's why he severed himself, because he's so. We talked earlier.
Integrating, you would wonder.
We didn't really talk about this during tonight's show, but you and I spoke earlier today, Jamie, about maybe we did talk about it earlier, about Mark's, like, sort of has always communicated that it was this perfect life that they had together, and now we see the cracks in it.
Or at least we felt that way. I don't know if he actually said that or we just inferred it, but I definitely felt that way.
We inferred it, and now we see that Mark, like, we've talked a lot about why Mark's grief is so deep and hasn't moved past it, and now we see that he probably is carrying a lot of regret about refusing to go with to spend the last moments he could with her. He wouldn't go with her to play charades. He had to be prodded to say, I love you. Like, he surely is carrying deep regret about that night.
Guilt, yeah.
Yeah.
Justin says, imagine if we were kidnapped by the government for dreaming about people.
You know what? That might be the way the U.S. government is going.
It might be. It might be.
So yeah, and I guess like I'm wondering what way this experience of reintegration, like I don't know if there's a way, if this helps Mark to process the grief, or if what we're looking at is like a love triangle. Like if Mark's gonna be reintegrated and be in love with two women, or be like, oh, I realize I'm in love with Gemma, not Helly, who I've known for a minute. I love this woman deeply, and what that does to Helena, who has I'm still not clear if I think Helena's really
interested or not
in love with Mark, or she's.
Wait, do you mean Helly or Helena?
Helena. I mean Helena. Like there was some speculation that Helena came downstairs because she wanted what Helly had, and she wanted a relationship with Mark and wanted to try it. But there's a part of me that thinks she's just screwing with him.
Yeah, I don't know. I think she could be attracted to him, but I don't think Helena personally, I don't think she could be in love with him. Like an innie only has like a half-life. Helena has had like the majority of her life. I don't think that she would just magically become in love with Mark after like seeing him a couple days.
After really watching him on a screen, there was speculation in this show. You know, we talked about that maybe her very controlled life, she hasn't had like a real.
Yeah, that she more wanted what Helly had, not specifically Mark. Yes.
I don't know that I.
Yeah, I don't know that I still feel like that. I kind of did.
I feel like she maybe was screwing with Mark, and yeah. But if we believe that she really is interested in him romantically, like what would it mean for him to have full memories and if he gets reintegrated, he's got to go downstairs and pretend to be severed every day, right? Mark Scout, he's got to pretend, and he's got to pretend to be attracted to Helly when he's got his memories back of Gemma.
Well, that's the thing too, is you think about the fact that, because I keep thinking about, somebody was asking about it earlier. I'm sure you've seen the preview where Cobell says something like, I don't even know exactly what she says, but something like there's no happy ending for you or something like that. You have to wonder like how this could resolve itself happy for Mark, no matter what, because if he does get reintegrated, like how he can't have both of them. So I don't know what that looks like. You know what I mean? Like what him being reintegrated looks like. Because I assume that if he's reintegrated, it's not flipping back and forth. We said this before. It's like one cohesive, complete person who I assume if he's reintegrated would potentially have feelings for both of them.
Maybe, but I feel like the feelings for Gemma are so much more intense than any feelings he could possibly have for Helly. I mean, granted, Helly is perhaps the only women he knew were like Natalie and Mrs. Cobell.
Yeah, you're right. Well, I don't think
it's been going on.
I don't think Mark-esque part of him could be happy then. How's that? Like, I don't know that he could get a happy ending, but I don't know.
Yeah,
But I guess if he's reintegrated, you're right. He may care more about Gemma and may forget about Helly. I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, it was Helly's lie about when. I guess that wasn't Helly. I guess that was Helena. But
I also have to question if he really did love her. And I mean, we've discussed this before, and obviously this happens on a lot of different TV shows and stuff with twins. We've said that. But like, if he was really deeply in love with her, you think he would have noticed a difference. Not just the sex, but being with her, like if he really loved her. But again, he hasn't really known her long enough to love her, but it's also television. So,
and they mostly have only talked about work. Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Like she's pretty much the only, like one of the only 3, 4, whatever women he knows. So
yeah,
3, because I'm thinking of what's her face? She's a kid, so that she don't count as a woman because she's a girl.
And like the Gwendolyn Christie character, he met for 2 minutes. I mean, he's met a couple of, but he has met a
couple women, but just like he's met Gwendolyn, the other MDR employee. So I mean, yeah.
One other thing that I felt while watching this episode that we didn't talk about was the way everybody at Lumen doesn't consider the innies to be people. And the fact that they think it's okay to torture, I mean, okay, they do consider Gemma a person, and they think it's okay to torture her and to kidnap her and keep her there if she was kidnapped or whatever. But they think it's okay to torture these her severed personalities with a frightening experience of a plane almost whatever's going on that plane, right? Mm-hmm. With the dental work, with all the, like, they just think it's okay to just like create a personality that her whole entire life is coming to the dentist.
That's what makes it the torture, is the fact that it's the same thing over and over again. It's not like going to the dentist is necessarily torture, or like that you couldn't live through almost crashing in a plane, but to do that every hour of every day you're alive would be awful.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a 2-hour dentist appointment, and she presumably doesn't need 2 hour, like, any dental work, right? Like, nobody needs their teeth cleaned he says it's been 6 weeks. She might be going in there every day. We don't know. Like, I feel like
probably not really been 6 weeks, in other words.
No, well, and for that character, it hasn't been 5 minutes. It's been, right? She walks out.
I was going to say, you would think though, like,
I think they're doing it.
Like, the pain's gone though by then too. Yeah, like Matt said, it's all you ever know is the suffering, and that's
they've created at least 6 personalities that all they know is suffering of varying degrees and types, right? It is, Matt, diabolical. It is. It's a level of cruelty, and it's this. We've talked a lot about the forced labor, and the way they think of the workers and how they treat severed people. And it really, it's diabolical. It's evil, right? It's like, they just don't think they're like that. That was so telling when we first met, when we first met Helena in season 1 on the video where she says, "Helena, you're not a person and you're going to just have to stay there. Sorry." Right. It's really what they think. It's really how this, they're creating a hell to underwrite their heaven. Very interesting thought there. They are, and they think nothing about putting people through this. And like, what happens if they break?
Dude, what happens if they break her? That's a good question.
Right? And I don't mean like break her like that she breaks through and comes through, but like, what if this
like her mind breaks down?
Yeah. Or what if any one of the personalities becomes like really depressed or mental illness, or like, right? Like what? Like, yeah.
I just kind of keep thinking, like you just said that, like with the mental illness, like we look at them severing, like sever off time, like they spend time as the innie, time as the outie. And that's why I wonder if it's more about like severing off part of them, not severing off necessarily like part of their life, but severing off like a part of their personality or something. Like, I wonder if it's something for that. Like, if so, like you were saying, mental health, like what if somebody was sick, like you could just sever off that part of them and make them healthy. Like that could be potentially a good thing. But I'm saying, like, is it necessarily like severing a time period? You know what I mean? Like it could be severing parts of their personality. And that's what I was saying about like making super soldiers and things like that. Like I could see it being something to that.
It could be something like that, because I mean, there's this other element, like, okay, you want a severed personality so you don't have to experience the pain of childbirth, which is like, I mean, I've never had a baby, but many women describe it. Despite the pain, it's a very profound experience giving birth to a human being, right? Or just to avoid the dentist. It's very.
But what if you want to like sever off all emotions and?
Well, right. Like, I'm sorry that life has unpleasant parts, but it's living through the unpleasant parts of life.
My watch is, I'm not sure I understand. That's what you just said.
It's, the unpleasant parts of life are part of it, and they make you a whole person.
They make you who you are, right?
And to like, I mean, it was unhealthy for Mark to do it to avoid the pain of losing his wife, and it would be unhealthy for anyone to, like, you just can't have this get out of jail free card because you can not go to the dentist and eventually lose all your teeth, right? I see some utility there, but they're like, the suck it up and deal with the hard parts of life is part of living a full and complete life, right?
Yeah, you can't have happiness without sorrow. Isn't that what they say? You can't have whatever without pain. I mean, you have to experience pain and sorrow and everything else to understand. I forget what that's coming from. Something I watched recently, I feel like that you can't appreciate the good things if you don't live the bad things too.
Yeah, and yes, you're right. And we've talked about how like getting severed to avoid thinking of Gemma for 8 hours of the day hasn't made Mark a happy person.
It has.
Right? Or really improve. Like he lives a very kind of solitary. He doesn't have any friends except his sister, as far as we can tell, right? And
yeah, and that one woman we were sleeping with for a little bit, and that's
yeah,
it.
yeah. So, I mean, yeah, good point here. If Mark had a normal job being around people every day, it might have helped with the pain of losing her more than tuning out for 8 hours a day, right?
Yes, I agree.
The getting on with life part, he sort of like put in this box and is letting Mark S do that part.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Justin, I don't want to be Gemma, so
well,
or Helen for that matter.
The question was, imagine if you were Gemma, how would you escape? And I think what Justin he's coming.
Oh, I was looking at the other card.
Karen, if I were Helena, and if you were Gemma, how would you escape?
I don't know, because I mean, if you have no way of escaping without turning into Miss Casey, I don't see how there is an escape. If there's another way, then yeah, I don't know. Maybe make that guy think that I liked him and bribe him to get him to tell me how to leave. Right?
That's a good idea. Yeah, that's a
good idea. Like flirt with Dr. Maurer and like make him think
pretend to be in love with him and get him to kidnap.
Yeah, that's my devious plan. That's what I would do.
To rescue her because he thinks he can have a life with her. That's good, Jamie. I mean, Helena. I mean, she's tried it all. She tried killing herself and she couldn't. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, for Helly, I don't know. Maybe if she could like have a knife to Milchick's throat and be like, "Let me out of here, or I'll kill him." But the thing is, they could trick you, and as soon as you became your outie, like it would be over, right? They would just they could.
Yeah. Are there windows to escape from? That's a good question. I don't know. There probably are windows somewhere, but I don't know.
I don't think I've ever seen a window anywhere, except in the outer shots of people like walking, and you see the unsevered people, right?
Maybe they probably don't have windows because they're afraid they'll see the outside world. And
I mean, Helly's trapped kind of worse because Helly knows. I mean, I guess if Helly could like hit Milchick with like, okay, let's say Helly was able to get Milchick's card away from him, right? Yeah. I mean, we assume.
Well, the other thing is, it's just like with Irv. Irv threatened another person, and he is now not on the severed floor anymore. I mean, Helly technically could probably just threaten Milchick, and if they believed it, maybe they wouldn't send her back down, I guess. But then she would still cease to exist,
right?
So like, yeah, I'm not sure that that's really helpful.
How do you escape? And like Gemma's non-severed, Helly is severed, and so if she leaves the severed floor, she ceases to exist.
Yeah. Although I think she would have been okay with that before, but I don't think she
needs to have the, what do they call the whatever that protocol is when they can wake the
Glasgow. Or no, the OTC protocol.
OTC protocol. OTC. Yeah. Which I don't know that, like, she needs to find a way to activate OTC protocol on herself, like, and then masquerade as Helena.
Yeah, that would be an interesting flip, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Helly pretending to be Helena, but you don't know enough about her, but it could still be.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and they're below ground. That's one reason why there's no windows, right?
It definitely could be, yeah.
I don't know how Helly's kind of like Gemma had a chance.
Gemma has more of a chance, I feel like, because she does have an outie down there. Like,
yeah.
But she'd have to figure out like bribe or blackmail or something, figure out how to get out of there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. Predictions?
I mean, I feel like if it's Mark Scout, who woke up on the couch or it's an integrated person, he's going to want to see Ragabi right away and have to like explain to Devin. I do think that we're going to like, I do think Devin will call Cobell, right? Like,
Probably.
Like she's going to call. She doesn't say, first of all, Patricia Arquette's not gone. And like Devin threatening to call her, I think is like a major foreshadowing that they're going to eventually call her. And it explains how Mrs. Cobell could come back to the show. Jamie and Helly are redheads. Karen and Gemma are brunettes. Yeah. We were meant to do this show.
Yeah. We know what you meant.
I don't know what to predict. This show was such a like left turn. This episode,
There's so much going on. It is like you said, it's a game changer. That's why I've been waiting for everybody to see this one, because so much was.
This was episode 7.
Yes, so there's
3 more
left. Yes, we're nearing the end, unfortunately.
Yeah, but like this feels like a season. This could have been like a season-ending cliffhanger. Like if this was the season, right?
Yeah, thankfully it's not, but yeah, it could have been.
But to think that there's 3 more hours after this is amazing. Like that's a ton of time to, like.
Yeah.
I mean, if this wasn't the season finale, oh my God, what is going to be the season finale cliffhanger, right? Like if it wasn't Mark waking up and Izzy integrated, like, oh my God, what can it be? I'm excited for that. But I don't have predictions. I don't know what I could predict for next steps.
Fair. That's fair. That's the thing. I always obviously have the hardest time answering unless I can remember specifically what I was predicting at the time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I was just, after this episode, was just kind of like crazy about the fact that she was severed so many times and trying to figure out what exactly that means, and if we've seen them all.
I mean, that's a huge confirmation that we've discussed. Can a person be severed more than once, and how many times?
And Matt also thinks Cold Harbor is death.
Death for Gemma?
I was going to say, I assume he knows.
So. Yeah, I think it's death for Gemma. Is it death for anybody else? I mean, it's death for Gemma, right?
I guess I will tell you what my main question is that I still have, that I want to know, is like, and we've talked about this, is do the other people, like, are the other ones important too? Are there other people that they're working on,
I mean, I think whatever, like, oh, do you think they're also connected? I don't think they're all connected to someone on the testing floor. I think like you suggested, they just got lucky when Mark walked through the door. They had Gemma, and when her husband decided to be severed, that was, I mean, unless we're going to see a whole other set of flashbacks where someone convinces Mark to, like, does Mark go to a therapist who convinces him that severance would help him?
Yeah, I'd like to see that too, but I don't know. It just seems like they only think Mark's important, but I feel like they have to be doing something. I mean, I know you've said before, maybe it's just busy work, but I don't think that, to me, that doesn't make sense. And I don't know, but like, I would like to see, like, I could see if maybe, since these 2 seasons were about Mark, like maybe next season we'll get more about what Dylan and Helly were doing, and potentially Irving. And right now Irving's not there, but I
mean, I just don't see Dylan's wife being part of.
No, I mean, seeing what they're doing, like, oh, you mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, they could be part of a complete, their case, or I'm calling it a case, whatever it is, their computer file could be part of something completely different. It could have nothing to do with his wife.
I mean, there's a testing floor. It wasn't, I mean, I think you wouldn't be testing this only on Gemma. They have other test subjects, right?
Yeah, but I doubt they're all like the same thing going on. It's probably something completely different.
Well, I mean, they could, I don't know about that. If they're like,
no, I mean, it's probably true that there's more people that they are severing multiple times and testing that. But I mean, like, it's not other like wives that were,
No, yeah. I think yes. I think
saying.
other people are going through the same testing in the same rooms. Like fear of the dentist is a very common phobia. Fear of flying is a very common phobia. You could be testing multiple people. You just make sure they don't see each other. But they got lucky when Mark came in. The Mark Gemma situation is unique, and so they've escalated. They've escalated what they're doing with them. And
I think the fact that they had two people who were married who were both severed in different areas, like that they can test them against each other and bring her up.
Yeah.
They may have never intended to bring her up as Miss Casey until he severed himself.
Yeah.
We don't know. And this is where I said, because we talk about like the torture and stuff they did to her. I really think if you haven't, you need to read that. Remember I told you that they have like the spec script that the story was originally based on. You should.
Matt thinks her death would be by drowning. They asked her, would you be more afraid of smothering or drowning? And she said, drowning. Could that last Cold Harbor room be like she's drowning?
Interesting. I didn't know.
Matt, are you the, no, it wasn't Matt. It was somebody else who suggested that the last room is like reliving the miscarriage. This is death by drowning. We got some very, you guys should all be working at Lumen.
You guys feel free to call in. That's why I said, Justin, you can call if you want. That's why I put the link there. If you want to tell us what you think, go ahead. That's why I pasted it. Could all be connected to all of them. Maybe Irv was an art professor. That could be. I still wonder if Irving was investigating them and like he severed himself as like a, Trojan horse, whatever you want to call it. But that like that's why he got severed. Is because he's investigating them. I also wonder if he's working with Ragabi. Those are that's two theories I had there. I did have those theories. I still have those theories.
I mean, I like your idea. I like your idea that he was part of the anti-severance movement and he became severed to be a mole and try to figure out what's going on in there. I like that. I also like the flip side of that he's having like breakthrough feelings or memories that's prompted him to invent, like the painting that he sees over and over again that could have prompted his investigation. But like either of those could.
Yeah, I guess the question is, did he, because he was severed, started seeing that testing floor or whatever, so it made him investigate, or was he investigating and that's why he became severed?
Yeah.
Either or. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So, all right.
Want anything else? Just to reiterate, if you haven't, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. You can check out our Severance interviews under the live tab. And actually, I probably should I need to add, I think, the newest ones to there's a playlist for Severance. So I'll add the new ones. I don't think I ever added the interview with Mark to that playlist, but I'll add it when we're done here. So you can find those easier. But yeah, lots of interviews you can check out under the video tab and the live tab on our YouTube. And don't forget to visit us on social media, especially Twitter, because that's what I tend to update the most, and our website, which has other interviews that aren't necessarily on video. And tomorrow, look for on scifivision.com. If all goes well, assuming nothing goes wrong, I will at least have up the first interview for 9 Bodies in a Mexican Morgue with Eric McCormick and the woman who plays the lead. God, I'm so bad at names. I really suck. What's her? I'm gonna look and see what her name is because I feel bad I said that, because it's a double interview and I can't for the life of me think of her name. I am horrible. As I get older, my memory gets worse. Where did it go? Lydia Wilson and Eric McCormick. There's other interviews too, but that's probably the one I'll do first, and that will be going up soon.
Jamie, Sci-Fi Vision is on Blue Sky also.
Yes, we're on Blue Sky too. It's always just Sci-Fi Vision. It's easy to find that way.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are leaving. I left Twitter for Blue Sky, and like
yeah, I post on both.
A couple million people have. So if you prefer to follow us there, then Twitter.
Yeah. Yes, I post on both. I'm just not great at remembering to post on Instagram. I admit, I'm kind of not great at that. But tomorrow I have with Scarlett my live stream for Yellow Jackets, and that I believe we're going to be at 10:30. If you check YouTube or Discord, which the Discord link is pinned in the chat, tomorrow, once I set it up, you'll see the time of it. I think we're going to do 10:30. So the watch party will probably be around 9 in Discord. And please do join our Discord at the link, because then you can find out what all's going on for our channel. You can join our watch parties before we do our live streams. But tomorrow's Yellow Jackets. And then Tuesday is our show where we're going to talk about the Paradise. I think we're on we're on 7? 7, right?
And 7,
so not the finale. We're on 7.
Yeah.
And also more Reacher. Probably talk about 9. At least I'll talk about 9 Bodies in a Mexican Morgue.
Mhm.
Whatever else has been coming on. Yeah, so please join us. And I lost my train of thought. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I don't know if we're this week, as in tomorrow, or if we're waiting till next week, but we're also going to be, our Yellow Jacket show, we're going to be collaborating with Antler Queen, Cyber Queen Media. I'm not sure if we're doing that for this one or not, because I'm waiting for an email back, but we will be collaborating with them soon. So make sure you guys check it out. And yeah, we're doing the 4th? Whatever, the current episode of Yellow Jackets. That's for tomorrow. I'm saying tomorrow. It's technically today, considering it's 1:30 a.m. But
yeah.
But yeah, all that good stuff. And like I said, you can always find the updates on social media or in Discord.
All right.
And I think that's it. So, and don't forget to check out our interviews with Mark Geller and Sydney Cole-Alexander for Severance. We also have some Yellow Jacket interviews coming up too. So yeah, lots of fun stuff.
Cool. All right.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for coming. We appreciate it.
Bye.